and white oxer at number 7. Then another of those Longines fences at number 8. It's the Longines Watches. And then the related distance again, a couple of options there, down to the double combination 9A and 9B. It's the oxer going in, one jumping stride, and the vertical coming out. They're swinging round to the right then, and once again it's in front of the owner's boutique, and they go over fence number 10, the net jets, with the distance down to 11A and 11B, the third of the 3 double combinations, and this time it's a vertical going in, one jumping stride, and oxer coming out. Then it's just a slight right-handed turn to the final line, the Danbury fence at fence number 12, and then a 5-stride distance down to 13, which is the Liverpool to conclude. Now, the American Gold Cup is very proud to partner with Captures One Advisors, offering this year a new $15,000 rider bonus for open jumper riders. The bonus determined based on points accumulated in classes with $25,000 in prize money or more. Now, after yesterday's $35,700 Staller welcome stake, Kristen van der Veen is on top of the leaderboard, and the top 3 currently read Kristen van der Veen, Cormac Hanley, and Madison Gottsman. Indeed, the top 3, of course, from that Staller welcome yesterday. A big thank you to Captures One for their sponsorship of the rider bonus. Captures One, a family of companies that assesses, forms, and manages captive insurance companies. Now, with a captive insurance company that you own, instead of paying premiums to a commercial carrier, you pay premiums to your captive. Thereafter, any money that is not utilised or paid in claims stays in reserves. It can be invested and it may become profit in your captive. Now, for a feasibility review, business owners can go to captiveone.com. Now, this competition is a jump-off competition. Those equal first after round number 1, coming back over a short course against the clock where time will separate all times. Now, the basic scoring is really quite simple. For each fence that knocks to the floor, it is 4 faults. For the first refusal or circle anywhere on course, 4 faults, and the second circle refusal means elimination, as does a fall of horse or rider.
Well, if you have just joined us, once again, a very good afternoon. Welcome here to the American Gold Cup for 2019. Today's all about the American Gold Cup qualifier. It is a jump-off format today. 50 combinations start here in the first round. Any tie for first place will take us to a single jump-off against the clock. Alan Wade is our course designer, a man who's built all over the world, and don't tell him that he's one of the riders' favourites as well. He's set a track out there that consists of 13 obstacles, few kind of bending lines, few rollbacks, lots of questions in there, and he's measured it at 515 metres, meaning a time allowed of 83 seconds. And we can take a look now, just some of the runners and riders who are going to be featuring. Devin Ryan, that fabulous horse Eddie Blue, he took to World Cup finals in the World Equestrian Games. Molly Ash, she's got a string coming up. McLean Ward, and a relatively new one as well for him. Be It Manley, who splits his time between Europe and the United States. Jenny McAllister, got a couple of new ones. Carl Cook's been on absolute fire recently. We saw him up at Vancouver for leg number 1 of the North American League. Andy Coker as well, he's always got horses coming in and out. BZ Madden Goran, that is such a nice young horse, really starting to move up the levels and become more and more consistent. Daniel Blumen's in the mix. We've got Quentin Judge, Coco Faith, a few young riders as well. And of course, Kristen van der Veen, who got off to a great start yesterday with a win with Bill Run's Festino d'Italie. Different horse for her today. Georgina Bloomberg, one of the local heroes, based of course in New York. That's exactly where we are for the American Gold Cup. Lily Keenan now trains with McLean Ward. He's based about 10 minutes away. Karen Pillay from New York but represents Japan. She's got Kino coming forward. Margie Englund-Royce, Lucy Delorier, Uma O'Neill in the horse that she won a qualifier at Vancouver last season. Akuna Matata, I've got an interesting story about that horse. It's one of triplets, but I'll tell you more about that later. And then right down towards the end, we head to Ireland for Richie Maloney. So 50 in total coming forward to start here in the first round. Out there somewhere, the national anthem currently being sung, and then the first horse will be coming forwards here to get us underway. Well, there we go, the national anthem of the United States of America. Then there's our ringmaster as well, Alan Keeley. He escorts our anthem singer out. And then we'll be getting underway here in just a second or two. If you have joined us, though, watching on the FEI YouTube channel or on Facebook Live, great to have you with us as always. And you've got to let us know, where are you watching from? We're going to have a look and see who's the furthest away watching the American Gold Cup today. We're here in New York. We're about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes outside downtown New York. That's in good traffic. It can take you much longer, though. And if you are going from here, I mean, you always just have to take the train or something, because the traffic in New York is atrocious. That's the archway there, the American Gold Cup archway. And just behind that is the warm-up. We're jumping on grass here, obviously. You can see all that lovely green stuff. The warm-up down there is on sand. And here's our first combination coming forward to get us underway. It's going to be Hardin Towel first to go. Hardin's produced some great horses over the years. The horse he's got involved here today, though, is Jolly Jumper. This is a 10-year-old gelding. Got some action breaker lines involved with this horse, and Hardin Towel represents the USA. Hardin been a part of the sport for many years. You know, he followed his parents into the sport. He's actually called Jack Hardin Towel, but he goes by Hardin Towel because his dad still involved with the sport. So to save any confusion, he goes by Hardin. This is a horse he's been riding since the summertime and already had a couple of top 6 finishes. And as he comes on course, we'll take you around this track and have a look in a little bit of detail at what our athletes are going to be faced with here in the first round. Quick reminder, time allowed set to 83 seconds. Length of the track 515 metres, and there are 13 obstacles out there on course. So we start here over the Captive One Advisors Oxer. That's the presenting sponsor of this year's event. When I walked at it, seemed a little bit smaller, so I think Kyle and Wade's been quite nice to them. Left-handed though, and this is a bit of an S-line. Might just throw the younger ones off balance just a little bit, but you know, not too much of a test coming around there, because plenty of room to rebalance before they come into the Logana Diamonds upright at 3. Come down to the Just World on that related distance. 4 strides through there. Then left-handed, rolling back once again into this 2-stride double. Oxer in 2 strides and then out over the upright through 5A and 5B. Down to the Douglas Elliman. Just takes that rail. This line as well, it kind of rides downhill. So that would affect the way you ride from that upright down to the Oxer. Sits there on 7 strides. Round towards the Longines, and then a bit of a bending line here. I think the option is going to be 7 or 8 through there, but we'll keep an eye. 1 stride through the double though, Oxer to upright. And then there's got this big kind of long curved line to finish. Jumping over the Oxer. Then to the double. And then we continue on down this line with a right-handed bend. And that fence comes up quite quickly. That's the Oxer at 12. And then coming down towards the Liverpool at 13. 82.09. Couple of rails coming down there for Hardin Towel and Jolly Jumper. So just finishing on the 8 here in the first round of the American Gold Cup qualifier. All the athletes looking to earn their place for the Longines FEI Jumping New York. It's the World Cup qualifier that'll take place here later in the weekend. Adrian Sternlicht coming forward next. What an amazing season she had in 2018. If you remember, she was part of the team that took gold at the World Equestrian Games. Not with this horse, so this is quite a new one for her this year. Been riding it at Traverse City over the summer. Was a little bit unlucky there, actually. Out at the Great Lakes Equestrian Festival, but based with McLean Ward, again, not too far away from here. She had an interesting way into the sport, actually. She started riding when she was about 6. She was best friends with Sidney Shulman's older sister Amanda, and went round for a bit of a play date, sat on a horse, and then that was it. The rest is history. From watching that first one go, I think the time allowed is going to be a question. It's not super tight, but it's something that they definitely have to just keep in the back of their minds all the way around there, and just catches the second part of that double there. Real bit of undulation down that line. And also great to have so many people watching already on YouTube Live and also Facebook Live. Don't forget, let us know where you're watching from, and you can ask any questions you like in there, but please do write in English, otherwise it's a waste of time because I won't be able to read them. Adrian Sternlight comes home on the 12 faults, 80.36. So again, that time allowed not that tight here today, but it finishes with 3 rails down and a total of 12. Adrian Sternlight with Cadan Z for the United States of America. Got Mohammed Al Ibrahim watching in Doha, Qatar. That's somewhere I've been, Mohammed, to Al Shakab. That's an amazing stadium down there. Natasha's watching. We've got Julie, Linda. Liv's watching in Sweden. Rodent Razor, a regular viewer, watching in the US. Lexus Johnson from Canada. Julie's in Denmark. Brooke also watching in the US. Great to have you all with us as we head to our next one. This is Devin Ryan. The horse is called Eddie Blue. Definitely a combination that you will recognise. He was second in the World Cup final last year. Also part of the team that took gold at the World Equestrian Games, both in 2018. More recently, though, at the Hampton Classic, which was about 3 weekends ago now, he was third in the Grand Prix there. This is by VDL Zorocco Blue, out of a Marlon mare. He brought this horse over to the USA when it was just 4 years old, and you know, in its younger years, as soon as it was about 5, he knew it was going to be a superstar. It can just hang in the air a little bit, so in the competitions where the time is really, really tight, he does just have to keep an eye on that. Lexus Johnson says that she's watching in computer tech class, which is great. I'm so glad your school lets you watch it while you're meant to be working. That's fab. Devin making a great job of this so far. Is this going to be our first clear? Just a couple of fences left. Oh, had to make a slight adjustment down there. Yeah, it really is a cracking combination. 78.81. There's our first clear. Comes from the United States of America, Devin Ryan and Eddie Blue. Rodrigo Pessoa standing by, about to get underway with Quality FZ. Already got that first clear from Devin Ryan. Again, if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, let us know you're watching. If you've got any questions as well, you can pop them in the chat window as Rodrigo Pessoa gets underway. He splits his time between Belgium and the USA. Regular on the World Cup circuit. He actually won the World Cup final 5 years ago. That wonderful stallion, Balabudura. But you know, over his career, he's done so much. He's been to the Olympics 6 times, 6 World Equestrian Games as well. And just look how rhythmical this horse is. Caroline Freemark is talking about Devon, trying to say it was a great round. It really was. Lauren's saying the same. Katie Carr is watching from Idaho. Great to have you with us, Katie. Loami says Devin Ryan and Eddie Blue are a dynamic combination. They certainly are. Sadly, Rodrigo just having that fairly early rail on course. Pam's watching in Wisconsin. Heather Jones is in Great Britain. Jenny Smith watching from Cumbria. up there in the lakes. It's possible when you have that early rail in a jump-off competition that you can go a little bit faster and try and be one of the fastest for faults and just hope that, one, it's good enough to get you some prize money, but in this competition as well, they're looking to qualify for the World Cup that takes place here on Sunday. So that's going to be in the back of their mind as well, because there'll be about 10 of them that won't make it through. He's going to finish on 8 today, 78.97, 2 rails down, 8 faults for Rodrigo Pessoa and Quality FZ. If you have just joined us, 4 combinations gone so far. That means about 46 left to come, and on 1 clear, Devin Ryan for the USA. Gloria said she missed the beginning again. I'm pretty sure, Gloria, you can just rewind it though. And Madalena's watching in Romania, Dirk in Belgium. And here's Mario Delorier stepping forwards as our next to go. This is the horse he took to the Pan American Games for Team Canada, the team that finished 4th, but that was good enough to qualify them for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Amsterdam's 9 years old by Kitoki, out of an Accord mare. Also part of the team that finished 2nd in the Nations Cup. That was in Calgary just last weekend, a part of the Spruce Meadows Masters tournament. But you know, when you look back at what they've done already this year, I think he's got to be a contender. He said wins at the New York Masters and jumped so good at Spruce Meadows over the summer series at their 4 or 5-star tournaments. We're going to see Mario's daughter Lucy jump a little bit later on as well with the incredible horse that she's got, Hester. Carrie Roofer is watching as well. Many of you will recognize Carrie Roofer's name. She's not here jumping, so instead she's watching on FEI YouTube. And she has promised if I go to the qualifier in Sacramento, she's going to cook. You heard it here first. Mario making a great job with this horse, Amsterdam. You can see it just listens to him so well. As soon as he makes those minor corrections, it's right back in listening. Sherlock Watson's asking, where can I go to check the order of go? You can head to longinetiming.com and obviously select the American Gold Cup, find the day. You can even see the course plan there as well. For those of you that like me and you're a little bit of a geek, you can check out the course and it's there with the length and the times allowed and everything, all on Longines Timing. That was a great round there from Mario, 79.99. We are guaranteed a jump off then. Mario Delorier goes clear for Canada, and we've already got through Devin Ryan for the United States of America. So 5 gone so far, 2 clear here in the American Gold Cup qualifier. Kerry Doherty says, hate to sound stupid, but what's the jump off? Well, Kerry, in this competition, everybody comes into the first round, and now that we've got a tie for first place, so we've got 2 clears, it means they're going to come back over a shorter course, and they're going to try and be the fastest one over it. So it's the fastest one with the lowest number of faults in the jump off that will take that victory. Here's Lacey Gilbertson with Baloppy coming forward. Lacey's really been building her string over the last few months. She calls this one Poppy in the barn. It's a horse she's had for about 2.5 years and had a real busy summer season. She was jumping at Tryon, won the Grand Prix there, nipped over to Europe and just had 1 time fault in the Grand Prix at Kanoka. This is a 12-year-old mare. Lacey training with Shane Sweetenham. This looks like a really simple line. We've seen those fences come down a couple of times, and there's a big bit of undulation there. It kind of just drops downhill at the last minute. Rodent Razor's asking a question on YouTube Live. He says, do you ask the riders how they pronounce their name or their horses' names, or do you have to wing it? Well, generally speaking, most of these riders are the same ones that we see week in, week out. I'm lucky to travel to lots of nice big shows and it's always the same riders there, so I kind of know them. Sometimes you do get some new horses and you kind of just have to wing it a little bit. especially with some of the European names that are really complicated. 79 seconds, and Lacey Gilbertson will be absolutely over the moon with that horse. And it looks like it's still got plenty left in the tank to come back for the jump off against the clock a little bit later. Big pat there for Balopi though, and that's clear round number 3. The worst thing is though, when you go to somewhere like Beijing and all the names are in Chinese, then it's a real struggle. Be It Manly comes next. A horse called Simba. Be It will be training Katie Dinan as well. So here is a trainer, but also is a rider in his own right. This is a 13-year-old by Tulin. Be It's an Olympic silver medalist. He's been to numerous World Cup finals over the years. And for those that are watching in Britain, this is a horse that Jay Buxton and Dan Nielsen produced all the way through the young horse classes before Be It Manly took over the ride. King says, am I right in remembering that some competitions have the top 10 in the jump off, regardless if they jump clear or not? That's called a winning round format. So they take a percentage through and you qualify. So you can either be the top 10 or the top 12, but it's normally about 25%. Sometimes it would be, you know, top 10 or all clears. Sometimes it's only the top 10. And those kind of different rules are written in the draft schedule. And again, you can find the draft schedules for FEI competitions on the FEI website. So if you want to get down and dirty with those rules, you can head along to the FEI calendar and have a look on there. That's a winning round format that you're thinking of. This is just a pure jump off, so you have to be clear to make it through. Just look how easy Be It Manly's making this course look. Alan Wade, the course designer, I think he's done a great job here. Certainly plenty of questions out there. All quite even distances though. And again, these are the horses that are trying to qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. So that's the World Cup qualifier that takes place here on Sunday. And he is in with a definite good chance. 82.44. Shaping up to be one heck of a jump off. Be It Manly goes clear. Simba for Switzerland. The King also asking, can you give me a competition that uses those rules? Yeah, I did one last week at Spruce Meadows. They tend to use them during their summer series and also at the Masters tournament as well. Caroline Freemark says it does look like a very good course. Warrior Maiden says, does your information list each horse include breed? For most of them, not all of them. And if you are really interested in breeding, just in case I miss any, if you go to longinetiming.com, then you can definitely download the list. And those that do have breeding information, it is available on the start list. Someone else asking for the time allowed. Time allowed here set at 83 seconds. Definitely part of the test, but not that tight. It's very achievable here. Brian Gattal comes next. This horse is called Viva Colombia. She's starting to do more and more coaching. Last year kind of really turned her focus to helping, you know, the pony hunters, junior hunters, young riders. This is a horse she's jumped Grand Prix with, she's jumped World Cups with as well. And for those of you that have got a really good memory, you might remember Connor Swale riding this a couple of years ago. It's a 14-year-old mare by Kula Rubin out of a Landor mare. Someone else asking about the time allowed. Time allowed is 83 seconds, 83 seconds. And if you've got any questions, feel free to stick them in below if you're watching on Facebook, or to the side if you're watching on YouTube. Stick them anywhere you like. As long as I can see them and they're in English, I'll try and get around to answering them. Brianne Gattal, I mean, she's set a rhythm right from the start. She's kept that rhythm all the way around so far. Julie asks, is this the same kind of World Cup that Denmark will have soon? It is, Julie. This is part of the North American League. There's 7 leagues around the world, but they all qualify for the one World Cup final. It's taking place in Las Vegas in April. Started off so nicely for Brianne today. Just carries 8 though. She comes down towards that final line. And will finish on 8, 82.35. 8 falls for Brianne Gattal. Viva Colombia for the United States of America. Dirk says, well done, Simba. Simba's a great horse, really is. Fantastic. Pamela saying the weather is so much prettier than yesterday. Absolutely. Cormac Hanley takes us to Ireland next, VDL Cartello. Yeah, if you were watching yesterday, the weather was so different. Today it's an absolute scorcher, and the good news is it's meant to be like this for the rest of the weekend as well. Cormac Hanley, he's got a great business over here now. He's produced so many nice young horses, and you know, he's ridden from such a young age as well. Both his parents, Sinead and Charles, ride. His uncles, Carl and Cameron, also equestrians. And this is a horse that had a top 10 finish in the Grand Prix at Hampton Classic. Really good results at Dublin and Spruce Meadows over the summer. 12-year-old stallion by Cartani, out of a Lord mare, this one. I really think he's a strong contender. Looking back into this horse's history, this is a horse that Jeff Billington's son James started off. But Cormac's had some real good successes with it so far, and also represented his country at the Nations Cup, of course. He was part of that team that finished second at Thunderbird earlier in the year. Gail Dundas says she's watching from Kamloops, BC. I hope I pronounced that right, Gail. When I was out at dinner last night, I found out there's a place in Kentucky called Monkey's Elbow. That's the strangest sounding place I've ever heard of. I had to Google it. I thought they were lying to me, but it does exist. I checked. Fun fact. As I said at the beginning, you know, this horse really is amazing, and he is making a tremendous job of it as well. 79.52. Cormac Hanley goes clear for Ireland. VDL Cartello brings us up to 5 clears already, and there's still 41 to come. This is going to be a big jump off. They really are going to have to gallop. And I don't think our course designers made it too easy. I think we've just got such a great field of horses and riders here at the American Gold Cup. Dorothy Douglas, MTM, through the looking glass, joins us now, representing the United States of America. This horse, an old rider, Vincent Lambrecht, an 11-year-old mare by Arkin. And this will probably be Dorothy's 5th or 6th international competition with this horse. It's great to see her having these new horses on her string. You know, she's got SL Elite out there as well, MTM, Cardana B. But in terms of international competition, still really getting to know this one. But these first kind of 3 fences, very straightforward. Alan Wade's been very nice to them today. That's a slightly skinnier fence. But for me, the first big question on course comes down the long side, and that just comes more from the ground than anything else. Just that undulation, it sort of runs downhill after you land over this upright. And that's something the riders will have looked at when they walk the course. They'll feel that slight undulation and maybe just sit up a little bit down the distance, because that's the big question down there. You know, it's like if you imagine a boulder rolling downhill. It's the rider's job just to sit back and make them wait, so you find that nice even distance that you're planning. Steen Nielsen says it's going to be a very big jump off. It is, Steen, and that's something that the crowd will certainly like. Sometimes think it's more exciting just to have a smaller jump off, but as I mentioned before, I think Alan Wade's done a great job, and it's just to the sheer class of the field here today. Well, Dorothy's still very much getting to know that horse. It's 80.87, new one for her, and finishes with just 4 down, a total of 16 here today. But, you know, a big open field. Perhaps, you know, they've not jumped in an open field yet because they are just new together. So finishes on that total of 16. It's quite an exciting time of year, actually. Lots of riders have got some new horses coming through. And actually, this is a new partnership as well. It's a 14-year-old gelding. It's quite experienced. It's called a Damo. It's by Lupicor. But this is one that Chloe Reid was riding up until very recently. You might have heard Chloe Reid's name. She's from the US, but jumps over in Europe quite a lot. It's her family that own Live Oak, which is one of the venues where the World Cup's held, and Chester Webber, who does driving, is her uncle. So Chloe Reid used to ride this. Molly Ash has the ride these days. And I think Molly could pretty much make any horse jump. The amount of nice horses she's had over the years, the amount of wins that she's had over the years. I know her whole family are really supportive. You know, Chris, her husband, her daughter Taylor, her son Chris. Her son was here at the World Cup with her last year, watching on. You can see just how carefully Molly rode that line. Oh, just sits on that 4 now for Molly. Oh. That is such an exciting new horse for her, isn't it? Chloe Reid had some nice wins with it, and I think that's going to be one to keep an eye on. Molly Ash, a Damo, 4 faults in 79.84. I think that'll still be good enough to make it through into the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. That's the World Cup qualifier that takes place here on Sunday. Someone asking there if most of these riders and horses competed yesterday. They didn't. There's only a couple. Yesterday's class was about 1.45 m up to 1.50 m. Today's fence is standing at 1.50 m. Might even be a fence that gets up to 1.60 m out there. So there's a couple that are jumping yesterday and today, but most of them will have jumped the sort of first competition back on Wednesday. They'll jump this today, and then if they qualify, they'll jump it in the World Cup on Sunday. You know, when it's 5 days of sport, you really wouldn't want to jump them every single day. This is McLean Ward, who certainly needs no introduction. Franca Churquita is the name of this horse. McLean's based at Castle Hill Farm in a place called Brewster, which is just down the road. He's got about 20 or 30 horses at home, but you know, his wife Lauren rides as well. His daughter Lily already in the saddle. It's only a matter of time till we see her in the international jumping ring. Joe Clayton had been riding this till recently. If you don't know Joe, he's a rider that represents Great Britain. He's second cousin to John and Michael Whitaker. But McLean took this out for the first time to the Hampton Classic and finished top 10. So, you know, McLean's only been jumping this internationally for about 3 weeks now. Just catches that rail coming in. Caroline Freemark says he's a champion and an amazing rider. He certainly is. Caitlin says, good luck, McLean. But unfortunately, just having that one rail. And finishes on 4, 78.74 there. McLean Ward for the USA leaves on 4. 12 combinations gone so far, 5 clears at this stage. We've got Devon Ryan through, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Beat Manley, and Cormac Hanley. So that's the clears at the moment. Ellie McIntosh says, who's first at the moment? It's a jump-off competition today, Ellie, so all those that are clear in the first round then come back for a jump-off a little bit later. So no one leading quite yet. This is Jenny McAllister coming next. She's got a great business with her husband Steve in California, and the horse that she's got today is a 12-year-old mare called Escada VS. She's had this one about a year now. We've seen her ride it in Nations Cups, World Cups, Grand Prix. In fact, she was riding this in the Nations Cup team that finished 3rd at Thunderbird in Vancouver earlier in the year for the USA. So it's Jenny McAllister, Escada VS for the USA. Very early rail there for Jenny. And just having to take minor checks down these related distances. Just going to be a bit frustrated with that early rail because all in all, you know, the horse settled down quite nicely. Just finishes on 4 today. Jenny McAllister, 77.28 and a 4 total. Plenty left to come, about 37 partnerships still to feature here in the first round. Someone asking, is that a hackamore? Yes, it is. Jenny was riding in a hackamore there today, so that's a bitless bridle for those that are a little bit newer to the sport. So the horse doesn't have a bit in its mouth and it relies on pressure over its nose and on its paw at the top of its head. This is Peter Jordan coming next. Igor is the name of the horse, represents the USA with this one. It's by Bentley van de Hethink out of a Capital Mare. Peter representing the United States of America. Started off the year with this horse very nicely, actually, with a top 6 finish at the Palm Beach Masters. And he's had this one a couple of years, but we've only seen him compete it internationally quite lightly. Greach is asking how many horses have been so far. We've seen about 13. This will be the 14th on course, actually. Charlie's asking what causes the lead swaps down some of these lines. Well, it could be all different reasons. That was a shame there, just taking the front bar off. I think he just arrived a little bit earlier than he'd like to. For the younger horses we're seeing, or the horses that are a little bit more inexperienced at this level, it can be to do with balance. And so often now, you know, we're jumping horses on big sand arenas that are completely flat, and there is a little bit of undulation out there, so that could be something to do with it. The quality of the canter could have something to do with it. But generally speaking, if you keep your horse forward and straight, you know, and you're not turning, they do tend to stay on the same canter lead unless you ask for the change. Yeah, he gives a very nice salute to the ground jury and decides to retire there. Peter Jordan and Igor has a couple down and decides to call it a day there. 36 combinations left to come. Then we're off to that jump off against the clock. Carl Cook standing by. Kalu, the 12-year-old by Casal. Carl represents the United States of America. Carl's a 3-time World Cup finalist. And this horse finished 3rd in the Grand Prix during week 1 of the Thunderbird circuit. That must be, what, about 5-6 weeks ago now? But the horses that he's been adding to his string really are fantastic. He had a win in San Juan Capistrano earlier in the year, and he's had this one about 3 years now. For those that are new to the sport but like television, his wife's Kelly Coco from the Big Bang Theory. They got married about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. But they're having so much fun together. Kaylee herself rides. Has some great results. Another fun fact about Carl is he has started riding and warming up. Not in the ring, I have to say, but in the warm-up, he's been riding in a special pair of kind of glasses or goggles that he's had made. So he can't really see what's happening underneath them, and he has to feel what's happening underneath them. And he really likes it. A couple of people are asking, what breed would you suggest for a 2-star jumper? There's so many nice stallions out there at the moment. I mean, I think warm blood in terms of what breed, well, warm blood is probably the most common now. In terms of stallions, I like Chaco Blue. It's a very common stallion at the moment. He's got lots of horses out there, but the good thing about show jumping is it doesn't really matter too much about the breeding as long as it jumps, as long as it leaves them all up, just like Carl Cook has today. 81.94, clear there for Carl Cook and Kalu. So that brings us up now to 6 now, actually. 6 clears. We've got Carl Cook, Cormac Hanley, Beat Manley, Lacey Gilbertson, Mario Delorier, and Devin Ryan. Yep, that's 6 that we've got that head through. Ross from Texas says, do they get points towards getting into the Olympics? They don't get points. What happens is the jump competitions like the World Cup qualifier here on Sunday, that gets them a certificate of competency. And for that to happen, there's got to be 2 verticals at 1.60 m here on Sunday, and then they're available for selection. So you don't really earn points to qualify for the Olympics. As a rider, you have to be selected. In terms of teams qualifying for the Olympics, that's done at various competitions. Like Canada just qualified to go to the Olympics in Tokyo from their results at the Pan Am Games. They were 4th, but that was good enough to step them up and actually qualify for Tokyo. Rodent Razor says, way to go, Carl. Joanna says, what a nice ride that was. Charlie says, smooth and correct. Yeah, Carl's on great form. As is Shane Sweetenham, though. Chacky Zed. This is a horse he took to the World Equestrian Games, took it to the Europeans in 2017 and picked up a team gold there as part of the squad for Ireland. More recently, though, just a couple of weekends ago, finished 7th in the Grand Prix at the Hampton Classic. Although Shane represents Ireland, he's been based in the US since about 2004, and him and his wife Ali have got a great business over here. He was at the Europeans again this year. That was with a horse called Alejandro. You can see how just how correct Shane is, you know, just how well he places him at each fence. Just uses his upper body there just to steady him down, coming into the upright first part of that double. Stays light through his seat here. Keeping an eye on that time. Yeah, inside though, 82.12. Time allowed 83 seconds, so time to perfection there from Shane Sweetenham of Ireland. Brings us up to 7 clears.
And now Shane Sweetenham going through to the jump off, and we're up to 7.
You have just joined us, then feel free to comment, get involved with our conversation here today. If you're watching on YouTube Live or Facebook, you can certainly do that in the chat windows. You can also follow FEI Jumping for the behind-the-scenes stuff, and the American Gold Cup's got some great stuff on their social media as well. If you want to follow me, I'm Adam Cromarty. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I promise I'll be posting some stuff as the weekend continues here. It's going to be a great weekend of sport, though. I mean, you look at how the qualifier's shaping up. I can't wait to see what our course designer Alan Wade has in store for them here on Sunday. We're going to be staying in Ireland as Paul O'Shea joins us next to go with this one. He's based in Florida and has worked with some big names over the years, including Rolf Goran Bengtsson. He represented his country at the World Equestrian Games last year. And what a horse this is. He was part of the team that finished 2nd in the Nations Cup at Hickstead, had a win at Dublin. It's an 11-year-old, Emerald van Voorhof. So many of the Irish riders now based over here. Ruby on YouTube is already making a bit of a prediction for the jump off, saying I have a feeling that Carl will come in the top 3. Oh, and also asking what breeds would be good for a rider working towards canter. In terms of a breed, if you're looking to do that, it's not really a a sort of different breed. You just need a horse with a smooth canter, I would say. If you're moving up from trot and learning how to canter, you want something that's nice and smooth. Otherwise, you might bounce out the side door. Skim just taking a check down to that final fence, but finishes on 4 today. 82.02, 4 faults there for Paul O'Shea of Ireland to Emerald van Voorhof.
So the situation at the close of play of this first section as we take a 10-minute break for arena maintenance in Wollongong.
Getting some great questions today. Lady Vampire says, could you please explain how the rider tells the horse this is where I want you to take off to make them jump? Well, I think it's a bit of a conversation actually. You know, the rider sets them up. He knows in certain lines if it's going to be 5 strides or 6 strides, so he is counting in his head and then just kind of pops his leg on, and hopefully the horse will take off. But it's all about the canter really, rather than telling your horse where to take off. Your job as a rider is just to get that really good quality canter, and then to think about your distances, to think about, is the canter too short, is the canter too long? You know, do you need to take a little check down a line? Do you need to push on down the line to make the number of strides that you walked earlier on? But really, as long as the horse gets there in a good stride, he'll take off himself. We are going to take a little short break here. There's a total of 50 combinations coming forward in this one. We are on grass, and it does take a bit of maintenance to have a good grass field. So you can see already some of the ring crew out there just kind of patting down the grass. And then we'll be having our next one forward in a couple of minutes' time. At the moment, though, we're sitting on 7 clears. We've got Shane Sweetenham through, Carl Cook, Cormac Hanley, Beat Manley, Lacey Gilbertson, Mario Delorier, and Devin Ryan. So that's the clears at this stage. Katie says, what do you think about an Icelandic horse? I've actually ridden an Icelandic horse once, about 12 or 13 years ago. And it was actually quite comfy, but they do have another gait. They don't just have walk, trot, canter, gallop. And I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. You will probably be able to tell me. But they have an extra gait in there, which I think is halfway between a trot and a canter. I wouldn't fancy jumping 1.60 m on an Icelandic though. We don't see many Icelandics at the Olympics, but very cute, very cuddly, and very useful for their own job. Do keep getting involved with that conversation on Facebook, on YouTube. If you've got any questions, let me know. That's the hospitality that you can see up there. The food in there is absolutely lovely. I was in there for lunch a little bit earlier, and just through there, if you've got good eyesight, you can see the warm-up. So the horses are warming up on an artificial surface through the back. Then they come through the American Gold Cup archway, and then they join us in this grass arena. And in that warm-up arena out the back, it's actually bigger than it looks. That's where they hold the North American Youth Championships. I was here for that one, I think it was about maybe 2.5 months ago now. So that's where that's held. So there's actually another sand warm-up ring out there as well that they used for that. But this is the big grass arena here at the American Gold Cup. It really is a heritage event. And again, it will hold the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. So that's the second leg on the North American League World Cup Tour. And that's here Sunday at 2 o'clock local time. But you can only watch it on FEI TV on Sunday. So make sure you get yourself organised. FEI TV. I'm going to be on there with Katie Stazak. She'll be joining me for that one. Miss Jules actually just asked that, will the American Gold Cup be live streamed? That is the World Cup qualifier. So it's the World Cup qualifier for the American Gold Cup. So if you want to watch that one, got to watch on FEI TV. Katie Carr, that's the girl with the Icelandic, saying she's jumped her free through 3 and she's an amazing jumper. I bet she is, Katie. All I meant was when I said, you know, you wouldn't want to jump, I don't think it could jump 1.60 m. But I do love Icelandics, and they are very cute. And I'm so glad that she jumps 3'3". But if you ever fancy coming over here and jumping 1.60 m, just you let us know. A quick reminder as well, you can also follow FEI Jumping on Facebook. They've got lots of behind-the-scenes stuff. We're going to be chatting with our course designer, Alan Wade, so that's going to be available tomorrow at some point, so make sure you follow them. American Gold Cup's been posting lots of nice stuff from behind the scenes and winning rounds and stuff, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search Adam Cromarty and I will pop up, and I promise to start being better at taking pictures. I might even put a picture of where we're sitting today in our trailer with the air conditioning on, because it is so warm outside. Lady Vampire said, does anyone remember It's Otto? I do remember It's Otto, Jeff Billington's horse. That was a great jumper as well. Derek Braun's watching. Derek that runs the Split Rock shows. Katie Brown also watching. Someone mentioning that Jenny McAllister isn't based in California anymore. She's actually based in New Mexico. Thanks for that, Barbara. Good to know. Well, final preparations underway, and we'll be starting once again as we pick up the action. We've jumped 17 so far, sitting on 7 clears at this stage. And a reminder, this is a qualifier for the American Gold Cup, for the World Cup that will take place here this Sunday. Always a great atmosphere here, though, and they've actually got an auction tonight. An auction by the people called The 10. And they're also auctioning off an 11th horse for Kevin Babington. For those that follow show jumping, you'll have heard Kevin had a bit of a nasty fall and he's been in hospital. So there's a bit of a fundraiser going on for him just now. If you can look that up, definitely do. But that's taking place at the moment. Just at the top of the screen, you can see American Gold Cup, and that's the indoor barn here. They've actually got an indoor arena. That's where the auction's taking place tonight, and they've got such great stabling here for those that do board. Gina says, oh my gosh, I wish I was there. Well, make sure you get it in your diary for next year, Gina. It's such a great place to come. It's so easy to get to. You can fly into LaGuardia, you can fly into JFK. So definitely put it in your diary for next year. Cloverwater Eventing says, any tips for rising trot? I'm assuming you mean to learn rising trot. Practice, 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 I would say. Once you've got the rising trot, I would say a way to make it softer and to make it look like it's more practice is actually practice just staying standing in your stirrups while you're trotting along, and that can help just get that kind of softness through your knee. You can see that warm up in the background, and we can see the riders are now back on and getting ready to come forward. Maria Nielsen says where to find a schedule for this event. 2 ways, Maria. You can head along to the American Gold Cup website, just Google American Gold Cup, or if you search for FEI calendar, and then you can type in the event name and you can search for any FEI schedule on there. It'll also tell you, you know, who the judges are, who the course designer is, all the competitions, the amount of prize money. So all that type of stuff, it's available on the FEI draft schedule. And if you want to follow the start list or the live results for this competition, you can head to longinetiming.com. Just click on equestrian, because they do timing for all sorts of stuff. So click on equestrian, click on American Gold Cup, find the day. It's all very simple. And you can also see the start list and the course plan there as well. It's posted. So you can see the time allowed. You can see some of the tests that are out there. Any minute now, we're going to have the next one coming forwards here. Quick recap, though, the clears we have: Devin Ryan, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Beat Manley, Cormac Hanley, Carl Cook, and Shane Sweetenham. So that's the 7 clears we have at this stage. Tina says it's getting a bit cold this evening in the UK. Getting down to 5 degrees tonight. It's freezing, Tina. Feels like I've not been back to the UK for a while. I think I was there for about 4 or 5 days at home last time. And after here, I'm going to Beijing on Monday to another show over there. And it's meant to be really warm and humid when I'm over there. So I might be glad of getting back to be cool after that. You can see the ring crew out there. They're having a look, and they have completed what they needed to do just to give this a freshen up. Michael Morrissey on screen there. He's one of the organising committee here. And you can see the hospitality absolutely full. 2 tiers, so tables upstairs, tables downstairs. So 33 left to go. 7 clears at this stage. If you are watching online, how many clears do you think we're going to get here in the first round? We've seen 7 from the first 17 horses. We've got 33 left to come. I think probably we're going to be looking at about 18 clears. So let me know how many clears you think we're going to have here this afternoon. Again, this is the American Gold Cup qualifier. It qualifies them to get forward into the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York, part of the North American League. So some of the ones we see today won't qualify and won't feature here on Sunday. You can see our clear rounds there. Devin Ryan, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Be It Manley, USA, Canada and Switzerland. And here's another one for the USA. This is Andy Coker as we pick up the action and get back underway once again. This is one of the younger horses we'll see in the competition. There's a couple of 8-year-olds in this one today. This is one of them. It's an 8-year-old mare by Cosmeo. This is a horse that jumped its first Grand Prix at Traverse City about this time last month. It's a similar height Grand Prix there and just had a couple down. But Andy really just starting to step this horse up into the bigger tracks. Fernanda's going for about another 10 clears. Caitlin says 13 to 15. Carlin's gone for 10. Rodent Razor says about another 5 clears. Katie's asking, what's my favourite horse breed and colour? Anything that jumps, Katie. I think when you're looking for a competitive jumping horse, these riders aren't too worried about the colour and really aren't too worried about the breeding. It tends to be warm bloods. There's a few Hanoverians on the circuit, but mainly warm bloods now that they're out jumping at this level. But Andy Coker's been producing some great horses. With one of his other rides, he won the Queen Elizabeth II Cup at Spruce Meadows in the final week of the summer series. Steen Nielsen says about 15 clears. Connie says 16. Mary's just joined us. She's in New Zealand. And Iris says this is the most beautiful horse show. It really is a great setting, Iris. Andy just having that one unlucky rail. But as an 8-year-old horse, it's all about just getting that ring experience. And there's no other way to do it other than get them in the ring, let them have the experience, and then you use that to kind of judge where they are in their career, and what you want to go home and work on. So, you'll be a little bit frustrated, but all in all, I mean, that was a great round for an 8-year-old. 4 jumping, 1 time, total of 5 there for Andy Coker. Cosmona, 83.58. Colleen says, what's your view on the change to the Olympic format? I think that's one of the most discussed subjects at the moment. I know lots of the riders aren't too keen on the new change to that Olympic format. My view is I think it's too late to change it. There's nothing we can do. We're just going to have to grin, bear it and see how it goes. So normally the Olympics, there's a team of 4, you've got your drop score. Now it's going to be a team of 3 and no drop score. And I think the reason behind it was to try and get more nations involved with the Olympics, but I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I just hope it doesn't kind of dilute what you expect to see at the Olympics because of the other countries that wouldn't normally qualify getting to qualify. But I think the absolute truth is no one really knows, but a lot of the kind of top riders who know much better than me have kind of spoke out against it and said they aren't too happy with it. But we'll wait and see. Sydney Shulman on track now with Villamora. Sydney's 24 years of age now. She's had this horse a couple of years and it's been really consistent at about 1.45 m level. So now moving it up in these fences today at 1.55 m, and that is a bit of a skinnier fence, slightly delicate coming off the turn. And I think it was perhaps a little bit of a domino effect. Maybe just came in a touch flat, and as soon as you land in, you've barely got any space to make those adjustments. Corrected well down that line. Those with eagle eyes will notice this horse goes round with its tongue stuck out as well, which doesn't seem to affect it. Okay, just coming a little bit long to these uprights. You can see it just drifting through that right shoulder. She's trying really hard to straighten it up round the corner, and I think that was a knock-on effect there as well of the work that she had to do. But you know, as I said, this horse has been consistent at $1.45. She is stepping it up now, and again, the only way to kind of judge where you're at is to get in the ring and have a go.
Well, not today, I'm afraid, for
So Sydney's going to be going home now, and she'll know exactly what needs to be done. I think just the communication just maybe not quite as good as it should be today. So Sydney finishes on 24 and 74.20. Jacqueline Hansen's going for 12 clears. Nina says she's watching from Finland. Amazing horses and riders. Iris says best of luck, Sydney. And Hilary McNerney comes next. Captain Cooper is the name of this one. Represents the United States of America. It's been a busy year for Hilary, actually. She jumped at Spruce Meadows over the summer and then has been jumping over in Europe since then. And this is an old ride of Kevin Johems of the Netherlands. It's by Namlesar out of a Corland mare. And Cooper's just 12 years old, 12-year-old gelding, this one. Hilary starting off really well over the first few fences. Just keeping that rhythm. You can see her using that upper body down this line. Setting it up nicely for the Oxer. You can see her just using that space there just to get the canter exactly as she wants it. Taking a check down to this last fence. Oh, and she'll be happy with that. 79.51. Hilary McNerney, Captain Cooper for the United States of America, jumps clear, brings us up to 8 now. 8 clears. Akavoskil says, what does it mean when horses go flat? So when horses come flat, it really refers to their canter. They go into a bit of a flat canter, and it looks like almost they're going downhill a little bit. In the canter, you want it to be nice and kind of short and bouncy so that you've got that impulsion. You want to feel that all the energy is in the back end of the horse and not kind of falling out the front door. So sometimes the canter gets a little bit long, and then it gets flat, and you lose that sort of bouncy stride. BZ Madden next, one of the very best in the world, and always a pleasure to watch BZ ride, whether it's in the ring or in the warm-up. It doesn't matter where you go, actually. She's a bit of a crowd favourite. This is an 8-year-old by Warrant, out of a Verdi TN mare. BZ took over the ride last summer. And this horse was winner of the Young Horse Series at Aachen this year. Willem Greve had been jumping it before BZ took over the ride. Absolute masterclass. You know, when you think this horse is just 8 years old, and you see just how attentive it is to BZ. Looks like BZ's got quite a lot in her hand, but as soon as she just takes that lightest touch or moves back with her seat, the horse is right there and listening. And very clean through its back end. It just keeps that good rhythm. Come on, BZ. You can see her again using that upper body. That upper body's so useful. 82.23, another one just timing it to perfection inside the time allowed of 83 seconds. Beezy, Madden and Garant there for the United States of America. Katie Butler says, nice. Kathy Walks enjoying watching this one. Jacqueline says, how many nations competing in this class? You'd have to go and count them up through the start list. And if you want to get that start list, it's on longinetiming.com. Start list and the course plan available there. Sue Hawes is watching. Sue Hawes is a FEI steward. If you go to Spruce Meadows, you'll definitely know who she is, but she's just joined us on Facebook Live. Stephen Blumen now. Hector van de Veranda representing Israel. This is a horse Stephen jumped at the Nations Cup in Vancouver earlier in the year, and of course the whole family involved. You may know Daniel Blumen, or his cousin Elan and Mark, also heavily involved with the sport. And it's nice because there's, I think, 3 of them here actually, and they were all out walking the course together a little bit earlier. So it'll be nice to talk about some of the distances and the lines. And this is a 12-year-old by Contact Van de Heffink out of an Orlando mare, and it's a horse that Juan Carlos Garcia was jumping in the young horse competitions. Lots of people giving their congratulations to Beezy for going clear. Derek, Gloria, Cindy, Kathy all saying well done to Beezy. So sitting on 9 clears at this stage, 28 combinations left to come forwards here in the first round. Stephen just working on that canter a little bit round the corner. You can see a couple of lead changes and looked like he was just pushing the horse to go forward a little bit. Four for jumping, 1 for time, 84.31. I think that first part of the double coming down just more to do with the canter coming in and having to make those little adjustments. It just interfered slightly with the distance you'd expected down that line. Someone asking if I've ever announced a bareback horse show. Have you ever announced a bareback horse show? I've never even heard of a bareback horse show. Well, Israel's certainly well represented today, and we are off next to Alberto Michan, El Paso. Another one whose family members are involved. Alberto's brother Daniel also rides. Alberto actually used to ride for Mexico, then switched to Israel last year, but so experienced. He's been to 2 Olympic Games, 3 World Equestrian Games, 2 World Cup finals. He's been on the Nations Cup teams with this and had some top 3 finishes already this year. And he only took over the ride of this horse in April, actually. Just catches the Just World fence there. Liv says she's going to be right back. She's going to grab some candy. Send us some this way, Liv. If you have just joined, it's very interactive today. You can chat along on YouTube or on Facebook. Let us know where you're watching. Any questions, any comments, get them in there. So Alberto now will be just wanting to leave the rest of the rails up. Remember, this is a qualifier. It's a competition in its own right, so it will have a result. It does have $75,000 in the prize fund for this, but it's also about trying to qualify for the American Gold Cup and, of course, the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York, which takes place here on Sunday. Looks like his martingale actually snapped. You can see it just flapping about a little bit. Those stud guards that you can see under the horse's tummy, and they have a little clasp there, and you can hook your martingale onto that. A bit like, you know, when you have to put your girth through your martingale at home. Well, these ones clip on, and that stud guard's there just to stop the horses catching themselves with the metal studs that they wear in their shoes. So I think it just fell off there, and of course you lose the use of your martingale when that happens. Well, we talked about there being a couple of Blumens here this week, and here's another one. Daniel Blumen, Sancha Lucia, another one for Israel as well. He started riding at the age of 3, and he was actually influenced by those cousins that we mentioned. Mark and Ilan have both represented their countries at various kind of championships and games. Daniel used to ride for Colombia, but now part of that Israeli team that's really growing in strength. And what a horse this is. It's a 16-year-old mare by Chin Chin, and Sancho is the horse that he took to the Olympic Games in 2012. He's taken it to 2 Pan American Games as well, and although it's 16, I have to say, it's still looking fantastic, and Daniel really manages this horse's schedule so well. Anna says thank you for the live stream. She's watching from Switzerland. Well, thanks for joining us, Anna. Great to have you with us. Andy Lafontaine's just joined as well. But if we can get Daniel Blumen through to the jump off, he will definitely be one to look out for. This horse is really quick against the clock. Couple of fences left to go, plenty of time as well. 83 seconds time allowed. It's about 8 seconds to get home. Little rub there, but leaves them all up, and he's home. Daniel Blumen, Sancha Lucia jumps clear, 80.20 in the first round. Laura Hoffman says, love this rider.
Daniel Blumen there and Sancha LS. 10 clears, 24 we've seen. He's 25th to the course next in the form of the USA.
Katie Cora has to go. She's saying bye to everyone. Don't leave us, Katie. Serenade says looks amazing. Great to have so many getting involved on the chat here on YouTube and on Facebook as Skylar Riley comes next. Robin de Pontthal. This is an interesting one actually, because Robin de Pontthal is a horse we know quite well. It's one that Peter Lutz took to World Cup finals, but Skylar is now working with the E2 team that have got some amazing sale horses, and she's going to be showing those horses off, so she now has the ride of this. And this horse has been going so well for her. She's had top 6 finishes in various Grand Prix all across the summer. It's a 14-year-old gelding. This is Skylar Riley for the USA. Some discussion on the YouTube chat about the Israeli team and whether or not they actually live in Israel. They don't. You know, we've got Ashley Bond, she lives in California. The ones that we've just seen, the Blumens and stuff, they don't live in Israel, but they represent Israel. A little bit like Karen Pillay, for example. Karen, who represents Japan, moved to New York when she was 6 months old. And if you chat with Karen, who we're going to see ride later, by the way, she sounds like an American. She is an American. She's lived here since she was 6 months old. So, just catching the back bar in that oxer there. But she has that heritage. So as long as you've got a parent or a grandparent or some heritage, then you can ride for that team. So a lot of people do kind of change nations depending on their careers and for various reasons. You know, for those that live in the US, for example, they may find it a little bit harder to get on the teams than they would if they were riding for Israel. So, you know, that's one reason. It's certainly not the only reason, though, that they do decide to change. Well, a touch frustrating today for Skylar Riley. Just finishes on the 4, 81.19.
That's the ride of the USA's at Skylar Riley.
So C finishes on 4, but we still have 10 clears. Jessica Gray's just joined us watching in Preston. That's about 10 minutes from where I live, Jessica. Well, I don't get to visit there very much now. It seems I'm always on the road somewhere. It's going to be an amazing jump off when we get there. About 25 left in the first round. I hope you can stay with us right the way through to the very end here today. Great to have your company if you're watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube. Looks like Jonathan Corrigan next, and Loch Navata Indigo. He's based in Bridgehampton, which is a very nice part of New York. It's a 10-year-old horse, this one, by Ludam, out of a VDL Arkansas mare. And Jonathan took over this ride when the horse was just 8 years old. But it was really consistent when I saw it at Spruce Meadows over the summer. And then he took it to the Hampton Classic and just had one time fault in the Grand Prix there. So, you know, this horse certainly knocking on the door. Someone else watching in Warrington, which is also very close to where I live. You're making me homesick. That's Tina. Tina's just joined in Warrington. That's just down the road from Preston. Iris Letvin says, super ride, Daniel. Yeah, Daniel rode really well for Israel a little bit earlier. Gord Freezer has just joined and is mentioning the sort of gradient between the jumps. There is a little bit of undulation. We were talking about this a bit earlier, Gord. I don't know if you've just joined us, but the line that kind of comes down from 6 to 7, that's certainly one to look out for. There's lots of undulation there. And that's certainly not a bad thing, you know, by any stretch. That's just part of the test when you're riding in a grass ring. First part of that line comes down. Yeah, and just finishes on 4 here today. One picks up that time fault, so it's going to be 5:83.33. Time allowed 83 seconds, so 5 faults there for Jonathan Corrigan and Loch Navata Indigo. But all the athletes that we see in here today will have that experience of jumping on grass and sand, because if you just jump on sand all the time, you don't really learn how to ride the lines with the undulation, because it does change things. You know, if a line's running downhill, it's like a boulder that's running downhill, and you end up at the base of the fence rather quickly. So when the riders are walking the course, they'll be taking that into account. Quentin Judge comes next. Double H Conrad for the United States of America. And he actually started riding a little bit later than some of the athletes we'll see today. He started riding at 13, but then at 19, he headed across and worked for Jan Tops, and I bet he got some great experience there, and now he competes at the Double H horses. That was the business set up by his late father-in-law, Hunter Harrison, who invested so heavily into the sport and has left, you know, these wonderful horses and a great breeding program as well. Quentin's been jumping this horse over in Europe, now bringing it back, of course, to North America. The circuit really starting to pick up at this time of year over here with the North American League. We've got 14 World Cup qualifiers over here. We're going to see the second one of the year on Sunday. And that was a late faller. And for the person that mentioned online about, you know, the undulation, this was the line I was talking about. I don't know if you can quite see it down there, but as you kind of land, it goes uphill a little bit and then drops downhill as you come towards that fence. And it's no mistake that those two fences are there. You know, Alan Wade will be using that as part of his toolkit here this afternoon, looking at the undulation in the lines. Having to work a little bit hard in places. Finishes on 8 today, 79, 81 and 8 faults for Quentin Judge, Double H Conrad. So staying on the 10 clears at this stage. 23 combinations left to come forward. Serenade's asking, does he have breathing strips on? Some of the horses you see do have breathing strips on. They are allowed under international show jumping rules, and that's something just to keep the horse's nostrils open and allow for more air. When we have our next break, which we are going to see after about the 35th horse, we can actually talk about that, because horses take an amazing amount of air in and out of their lungs when they're in kind of moderate work. So we'll talk more about that in the break if you are staying with us. For now, though, we're getting Leslie Howard on track with Quidam. Leslie's had quite a busy weekend. We saw her jump Donna Special yesterday. And for those that know Leslie, you'll know just how quick she is against the clock. You know, if we can get her through to that jump off, she is going to be one to watch. Leslie's a two-time Olympian. She won a Grand Prix that was quite similar to this course, actually, earlier in the year. Oh, that's that fence again. A couple are just catching that, just coming in front of the hospitality tents. And takes the first part there. Manages to reorganize down that distance. Catches the back rail. Just not her day. 78.44. It's going to be 12 faults here today for Leslie Howard and Quidam for the United States of America. That means we're going to be remaining on the 10 clears at this stage. I still think we're going to see some more clears, though. We might just get another 6 or 7. I think I said 18 earlier, but maybe that's going to even out a little bit. Maybe I'll change my guess to about 15 clears. Coco Faith next to go. Viroc Dillabai for the United States of America, staying with the home nation here. Coco, one of the younger athletes in the field, just turned 19 last month, but has had an amazing time in Europe with this horse. So many placings, all in the last, 2 or 3 months. This is a new one for her string this year. 10-year-old gelding. Serenade says, was this the girl people thought was Beezy yesterday? Serenade, you've got such an eagle eye. Yes, it was. When this girl came in yesterday, I think there was a change in the order or something backstage, and I had the wrong graphic or whatever on. And lots of people thought this was Beezy. So I think that's a big compliment to Coco Faith as she's riding around there, that people thought she was Beezy Madam, one of the very best in the world. And Coco is going to be, just a tremendous talent. When she thinks she's only 19 now, and already out there competing against some of the best. She's got such a bright future ahead of her. You see this horse kind of duck left slightly, coming over that vertical, and she rode perfectly down there just to make that little tiny minor correction. Bit of a discussion going on YouTube about martingales, and in international show jumping, you'd only be allowed a running martingale. You couldn't use a standing martingale. Oh, catches that as well, so sits on 8. And finishes on 8 today, 81.02. For those that are asking about martingales, this horse has got a running martingale on. So this is the only real martingale that you would see and be allowed in FEI show jumping. And you're only allowed one rein stop on those now. So you can't have a rein stop at both sides. Kristen van der Veen, always one to watch. She had a win yesterday, actually, with Bull Run's Facino d'Italie, which is another of her horses. She's just back from a little trip over to Europe. She took, I think, 6 or 7 horses over there with her. That string of hers is ever growing, but she's had this one since March last year. 13-year-old KWPN with some nice Indoctro lines in there as well. And quite a universal horse. I saw her jump this at Lausanne, which is the new leg to the EEM series, and she was 3rd in the 6 bar there. Then went straight to Saint-Tropez the following week and finished top 6. And just back from having a top 10 finish in Socrates in the Grand Prix. And that consistency really is key. Kay Raymer's just joined us watching in South Carolina. Gloria says Leslie is one of my idols. She'll be referring to Leslie Howard, who we saw earlier on. Anastasia says this course is fire. Don't even know what that means. But Alan Waits is our course designer. I think he's set a great test here this afternoon. You know, there's a couple of options here and there. It'd be tighter to the rollbacks. The time isn't super tight though. And everything pretty much is on a nice even distance here. Well, a little bit frustrating here for Kristen van der Veen. He's going to leave us on 4 today, 78.84, and 4 is the total. Lots of people just joining in now. If you have joined, do remember you can get involved with that conversation. You can search away and type in on the comments boxes. So if you're on YouTube, I think it's on the right. If you're on Facebook, it's probably underneath. But wherever it is, let me know you're watching. If you've got any questions, any comments, it'd be great to have you involved here this afternoon.
Top six in the doubles element speed competition.
Geraldine Gallagher says beautiful venue. It really is. I don't know if you've managed to spot the big lake that's in the arena, but it really is fantastic. Santiago Lambre is going to be coming next. He's hiding behind that pillar with Cetano Vas Aspergem Zed. Represents Mexico. You probably know his brother as well, Rodrigo Lambre. He also jumps internationally. His dad Nestor rode. But Santiago, you know, is a great athlete in his own right. He's represented his country up to Olympic level. Quick reminder, you can follow FEI Jumping on Facebook if you want to see any of the kind of behind the scenes videos. We're going to be interviewing Alan Wade, our course designer, as part of our setup for the World Cup. That'll be available tomorrow, so well worth following that. American Gold Cup also on Instagram and Facebook. And you can follow me in those same places on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Adam Cromarty. You'll find my pages on there. And I'll be posting later on a little picture of where we commentate from. So off to a very good start there for Santiago. A couple of the horses just kind of drifting down that line to the left slightly. I think that might just be the sort of undulation there. Miss Jules saying that what they're wearing isn't a girth, it's a band that prevents marks on the horse's side. So there is something that prevents marks on the horse's side. That's a belly band. That's a kind of big black thing that you see sometimes. Very quickly though, let's congratulate Santiago Lambre. He's just jumped clear here today, 81.13, brings us up to 11 clears. So you do get the belly bands. They're there to stop any marks on the horse's side, because under FEI jumping rules, if you do catch them with a spur and there's any blood, doesn't have to be intent, you don't have to have meant it or anything like that, but if there's any blood at all, they're eliminated. So some of the riders are wearing belly bands now to stop that. The other thing you might be seeing is stud girth. which is a girth in its own right, but underneath it just widens out. Cat Tyree's got one on actually. I don't know if you can just make out that goes really wide at the bottom. And that big leather patch is to stop the horses catching themselves with the studs that they wear in the horse's shoes to give it grip. That's a great example actually that you just saw on screen. You can see the studs there. And if you look at a stud girth hanging up in the tack room, you can actually see all the marks that the studs make on it. And if they didn't wear those stud girths, those marks would be on the horse's tummy, underneath its tummy there. So that's why those stud girths exist. That's why the belly bands exist. And Cat Tyree is on track now. BEC Lorenzo for the United States of America. She's had some great training over the years and input from people like Missy Clark and John Brennan. This is a 9-year-old Irish sport horse gelding with Gadam in the lines. And she has been knocking on the door recently. She had top 3 finishes at Hickstead, top 3 finishes at the Hampton Classic. I think she's had this about a year and a half now, and it's just going from strength to strength. Someone's saying they've got riders in New Zealand where they live that have got the belly bands on their horses. They're becoming so common now. Either belly bands or sometimes they'll leave a little bit of hair, a little patch of hair on when the horses get clipped. And that's, again, just to protect them from the spurs. Because their skin becomes kind of really soft and sensitive, especially now that, you know, we're clipping these horses all year round when they're out competing. Oh, that was super. It really was. 80.25. You know, when you think of just how she went at Hickstead, how she went at the Hampton Classic. It's quick against the clock, that horse. So, you know, we'll wait and see how she gets on in the jump off. But they're going to have to fly when they come back. With so many fast combinations making it through, we're up to 12 clears already. Having a look at those riders that are clear at the moment, it's a long list. Devon Ryan, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Beat Manley, Cormac Hanley, Carl Cook, Shane Sweetenham, Hilary McNerney, Beezy Madden, Daniel Blumen, Santiago Lambry, and now Cat Tyree. So 12 clears, 18 combinations left to come. Katie Dynan comes next. Borrego R&B. Katie trains with Beat Manley, one of the riders that's already clear. But as a relatively young rider, she's done a lot. She's been to 4 World Cup finals. And she's just back from jumping in Europe with this horse. She's really been adding to her string with the great horses, you know, like Dougie Douglas. That's out and about already as well. And this is a combination I saw in Lausanne. That's the new leg of the Longines Masters. She was there with this one. It's a 13-year-old by Nam Lessar. Like to see her go through as well. You can see she's just having to make little minor checks just to keep that rhythm. Come on, Katie. So close today, 82.36, just before she looks back just to double check that it definitely came down, but it did. Katie Dynan there. Borrego R&B finishes with 4. Well, if you have just joined us, this is the American Gold Cup qualifier. We're looking for those top horses to qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. For the American Gold Cup, that takes place here on Sunday. And if you want to be watching that, then you've got to get on to FEI TV. That's this Sunday. I'll be joined by Katie Stazak for that one. Georgina Bloomberg next. Local hero, this one. Based in New York, of course. This is a 10-year-old mare, Quibel. Got some staccato blood in there. This is a horse that made its World Cup debut last year. Jumped very well in Chantilly recently, though she's been over in Europe. Of course, Georgina's part of the US circuit. Got a regular, especially when we get to that indoor season, we'll no doubt see her at Washington, perhaps up in Toronto as well, but spends a lot of time over in Europe. And for those that are slightly younger and like to read, she's actually written a young adult book series. She's written that. It's called The A Circuit, so look out for that if you're a Georgina Bloomberg fan. Her biggest fan, though, has got to be her son Jasper. He's a regular as well. He's always there cheering her on and probably telling her what she did wrong as well. Perhaps we're going to see him in the show ring in the future. See, she rode that line perfectly, just really quiet as she came down that related distance. That was just a tap on those rails and down they come. Few have had that down there today. Down to the final line, and she's got to hope though that a 4-fault round with a time of 82.90 is good enough to make it forward into the World Cup in the qualifier on Sunday. Georgina Bloomberg there. Quibel finishes on the 4. Laura says beautiful course. Great to have you with us, Laura. Salem, I hope I pronounced that right, is watching from Rio. Ira Winsert watching in Brazil. Great to have so much of you, or so many of you I should say, watching and getting involved in that conversation here today. We've got about 16 combinations left to come here in round number 1, and then what a jump off it is going to be, because they all know they're really going to have to take out, you know, all those turns. They're going to have to be pushing on if they want to get up towards the top of our leaderboard. They're going to be coming back in the same order as they jump clear as well. So for those that do have a late draw in the first round, it means, of course, they're going to have a late draw in the jump off too. So we've got about 16 combinations left. You can see our ring crew just coming in now to do a little bit more work on this grass surface, and then we'll see the remainder of round 1 and that jump off against the clock. That was Georgina just wandering out that you saw there. Our next one will be forward in just a couple of seconds' time. Marcelo's just joined watching in Orlando. Good to have you with us. Again, let me know where you're watching from. If you've got any questions, then get in touch as well. Yara's saying, can anyone point you towards a starting list? We certainly can. If you head along to longinetiming.com, longinetiming.com, you can find not just a start list, you'll also see some live results on there. You can find the course plan on there. You can see the results of any of the previous competitions that have been on this weekend. Someone talking about FEI TV, because that is the only place that you can watch the World Cup qualifier on Sunday. Asking if there's anything else other than sport coverage on there. There's tons of kind of backstage stuff and interviews and little fun features. So it's well worth going on, having a quick look, and then you can decide whether you want to subscribe or not. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it is. It isn't too much, but everything's on there. You know, all the World Cup circuit from over here, from over in Europe. Nations Cups are on there as well, so definitely worth having a look. That's fei.tv. It's the only place you can watch the World Cup qualifier here on Sunday. So someone earlier on was asking about the breathing strips that you see on horses, and for those that haven't noticed them, it looks like a bit of a elastoplast plaster that sits on top of their nose, and that's just to keep their nostrils open. Some riders are huge fans of them. Others say that they're not really that effective, but you know, horses need so much oxygen when they are competing at the top level. When the horses are at rest, so when they're just in the stable, they take about 5 litres of air with each breath, and it takes about 12 breaths a minute. So if you do your sums, that's a lot of air. The average horse at rest will be inhaling and exhaling about 60 litres of air a minute. But as soon as you start to, you know, bring them into the ring, or, you know, take them out on a canter and a hack, or, you know, any sort of moderately strenuous exercise, the amount of oxygen and air the horse will take just keeps going up and up and up. And the volume of air per breath, it moves from 12 to 15 and takes over 150 breaths a minute, you know, when it's in real hard work. So that means the lungs now have to move, if my maths are right, about 2,250 litres of air a minute. So that's with less than half a second for each breath. But the sort of breathing patterns of these horses are really closely linked with locomotion. So the cantering and galloping horse, you know, the respiration and locomotion are locked to a 1-to-1 phase. So for every stride, the horse will be taking a breath, and that action really aids in the respiration. So that gives you a little bit more background. So for those that are wearing those breathing strips, that's why. That's another reason it's so important to warm up and cool down your horses as well, to allow, you know, the lungs to gradually start to take in more breath, and then when you come out the ring to gradually decrease. It's also why air quality is actually a big concern, you know, for your stables. Why you don't want to have a sort of dirty bed with lots of ammonia and stuff in there, or in the trailer, or in, you know, if they're flying, because these horses do tend to fly from show to show. So yeah, fun facts for you. Again, if you've got any more questions, or if you want to know anything else about anything else, hopefully I'll know the answer. You can ask on Facebook Live or on the YouTube chat window. Lydia's just joined, watching in Texas, cheering on BZ and Garant. That's a real nice horse. Not her top ride, he said. Yeah, Garant's just a young horse, Lydia, still, you know, in relative terms. But BZ will be back. Colleen Hoffman's just joined. Amanda Derbyshire, who represents Great Britain, but now lives over here. She's just joined as well. Heather Chandler's on Facebook saying, go Mario. She's watching on Ontario. Mohammed is watching in Egypt. Great to have you with us. Cindy Hans says, why only one range stop allowed on a running martingale? Yeah, I think that was a relatively new rule that was brought into FEI jumping. You can only have one range stop, so you can't have one on each side. And I think it's so the martingale doesn't get stuck, you know, if it moves higher up. But I know we've got some officials watching, so if you disagree with me or you want to expand on that answer, feel free to get involved. We were talking a little bit earlier about running martingales and how standing martingales weren't allowed, but with the running martingale now you can only have one range stop. Heidi's saying, are the fences all the same height? They can't tell on TV. They're not, Heidi. If you look at the first fence when we get the next horse on course, I think that's probably about 1.45 m. I didn't actually walk this with Alan Wade, our course designer, so I'm only guessing. That's fence one, actually, you can see on the screen now, the Captain One advisors. So if you look at where those rails are, maybe compared to the Just World fence sitting behind it, or some of the other verticals, it is a 1.55 m competition, so about 80% of the track has to be standing at 1.55 m. And when we get towards the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York, that is a mouthful. It's on Sunday. The fences are going to be about 1.60 m, or two of the verticals have to be 1.60 m on Sunday, because it acts as a certificate of competency competition for the Olympic Games. Abby Griffiths says, I think the jump off is about to start. Almost, Abby, we're so close, but we've still got 16 combinations left to go in the first round. The reason we're taking a break is because obviously we are jumping on this green stuff of grass, which does take so much work to make sure that, you know, it's just as good for the first horse coming in as it is for the last horse coming in. So the ring crew are out there. You can see a roller going around. Some of the ring crew, you know, patting down the grass with those things. I'm sure there's a technical name for those things. Not a clue what it is, but they are patting the grass down. making sure that the takeoff and landing spots are as good as they're meant to be. Aisha says, still no one from the Netherlands. No one's landed overnight, I'm afraid. No one from the Netherlands coming forward in this one. Lots of people thinking we're about to see a jump off. We're going to see a jump off soon, and I promise it's going to be exciting. But we've got another 16 to watch in the first round at the moment. Quick recap of who's jumped clear, though. We've got Kat Tyree, Santiago Lambry, Daniel Blumen, Beezy Madden, Hilary McNerney, Shane Sweetenham, Carl Cook, Cormac Hanley, Beat Mandley, Lacey Gilbertson, Mario Delorier, and Devin Ryan. And remember, they're coming back in the same order as they jump clear in the first round. So those that go clear at the end of the draw in the first round will stay in that very nice spot to come back for the jump off. Emmy Reid says, how's the ground at the moment? The ground's actually holding up really well. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, and it looked like after a bit of rain that it was starting to get a little bit, kind of deep and torn up in places. But now the weather today has been absolutely spectacular, and there's a little bit of a wind, which has really dried things out. And I think that rain we had yesterday is actually going to help us. Now that we've had the rain, now we've got the dry weather, and the field's holding up rather well. But these grass fields, it's not really a grass field. It has to be a grass jumping surface, and it really has to be maintained. Hunter's just let me know that those things that they tap the grass down with is called a tamper. I'm not sure if I believe her or not, but that's what she's telling me that it's called. Abby Griffiths says, this show seems much more relaxed in the UK. They're so stressful. How are they so stressful, Abby? Not that I go to that many shows in the UK now, I have to say. Erin Ballard comes next then, representing Canada. Judge Hof Ter Zadiki. I think we'll just call this one Judge. This is an old ride of Willem Vermeer of Belgium. Erin took over the ride in about March and has already had top 10 finishes at Spruce and Devon. And of course Erin was part of the team with Fellini S that helped Canada qualify for the Olympic Games in Tokyo, but Fellini S jumped at the Pan Ams and then jumped at Spruce Meadows, so is now having a well-deserved rest. 12 clears at the moment, 16 to go including Erin here in the first round. That 4-stride distance down there looked okay, just sits on the early 4 though. That's going to be frustrating, and of course she'll now be thinking about hoping to be one of the fastest 4-fault rounds. The fastest time we've got for riders on 4 faults is 77.28. That sits with Jenny McAllister. She's the fastest of the 4s and in 13th place. But I think, as long as you're clear or just finish on 4, then you should be good enough to qualify for Sunday. Abby Griffiths says the UK shows most of the time music's playing and all the riders go so quick even though it's not a jump off. That is true, Abby. The other strange thing that's happened in the UK now is everything seems to be single phase or 2 phase. You barely get to ride in a jump off. It's very strange. But yeah, it's very relaxed here at the American Gold Cup, but it's not a great day for Erin, who will finish on a total of 12, 80.84, 3 down, 12 faults in total for Erin Ballard. But she took over the ride in March, and it is, stepping up. Just not her day. Plenty of young talent in the United States of America at the moment. So many really talented young riders, pushing up and into the bigger competitions. But Brian Mowgre's seems like he's been up in the Grand Prix level for ages, even though he's only 18. He won one of the World Cup qualifiers. It was back in March in Live Oak, so last season. And it was with this horse, actually. This is a 10-year-old gelding called MTM Rev La Rev. It's by Ustinov. It's a real nice horse, and he gets on with it so well. He was third in the Grand Prix at Saugersies just last weekend. Someone else getting involved with the chat here on YouTube and just confirming that it's called a tamper. Who knew that was a thing, the thing they pat the grass down with? Abby Griffiths says, who's the youngest riding in here today? I think it might actually be Brian. There's quite a few riders that, you know, kind of 17, 18, 19, but I think Brian would be the youngest. Someone else asking, is this horse bay or liver chestnut? This horse is bay. Lynn Morris on YouTube chat says it's not stressful if you're not jumping. That's very true, Lynn. Easiest place to ride any of these competitions is the commentary box. That's guaranteed. Great ride there from Brian Mowgray. So hard to believe he's just 18 years of age. 77.01. Brian Mowgray goes clear for the US MTM Relève La Rêve. Just look at what a great relationship he has with that horse. You can see, you know, as soon as he finishes, he just goes to the kind of buckle and just goes back into that nice relaxed rhythm. Alex Granato, Carlton W joins us now. Another one who's been posting some good results already this season. He's got bases in Wellington and Tryon, and this is the horse he took to the Pan American Games, part of the team that took the bronze medal, and you know, we've seen him jump it in Nations Cups as well. It's by that famous stallion Chaco Blue. It's an 11-year-old, Carlton W, and Alex Granato for the USA. Sherlock Watson's asking on YouTube, does Steve Gurdat ever show on US soil? I'm sure he must have. He's shown all over the world. He definitely shows on Canadian soil because I saw him at Spruce Meadows all summer. Carly says, your French is terrible. What have I mispronounced now, Carly? Got to educate me on this French stuff. Abigail says, how warm is it there? It's freezing, Carly, because I'm sitting in an air-conditioned trailer. But outside, it's about 26 degrees Celsius today. Alex putting in a real strong performance to start off. You can see him just making those little corrections down that related distance. That really helps him get in and out of the double combination. Plenty of time to get home. He says wait into the last and jumps it clear. 78.22 clear for Alex Granato. Carlton W brings us up to 14 here in round number 1 of the American Gold Cup qualifier. Speaking of talented young riders, here's Lily Keenan next with Faster. Again, represents the USA. Trained with Keane O'Connor a lot over the years now, based with McLean Ward. So again, McLean's farm is just about 10 minutes from here. It's a 9-year-old KWPN gelding. And a top 10 finish at Hickstead. Top 10 in the Grand Prix at Devon as well. Liv is on YouTube chat saying Swedish pronunciations from British American people is the best thing ever, period. Well, Liv, you've got to teach us. Assuming that you're right and we're wrong, of course. Whoa, that is so unlike Lily and so unlike that horse as well. She is going to be super frustrated there. You can see though, she just sits up, gets rebalanced, straight back round. And then settles nicely down the distance, and that just goes to show, you know, the experience of Lily and what a great rider she is. She was a big star in the equitation ring over here, big star with the Hunters, and now, got such a great name in the jumpers as well, that she, definitely wants to leave everything else up now. She wants to be qualifying this because she will be a contender in the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York for the American Gold Cup. Remember, that takes place here on Sunday. FEI TV is the only place you can watch, so make sure you're subscribed and you're organised. Oh, and just catches that rail. So now we'll have to wait and see if her round is going to be good enough to get her through. I think, with the 4 faults, she might have done it because she is going to have time faults. When you have a refusal, she was really quick to get back round, but pretty much as soon as you have a refusal, you're guaranteed time faults in a competition like this, and those time faults are starting to tick up now. Yes, it's going to be 8 jumping and 3 time, total of 11 there for Lily Keenan, and fast there, 92.96. Takes her down into 32nd position, so actually might just make it through. It really will depend on what these final 12 do in round number 1. A few people on YouTube as well asking about horse breeds and stuff, and most of them do have it listed on the start list. So if I have missed a horse breed in there, you can find it because you can go to longinetiming.com, search for the American Gold Cup on there, have a look at the start list, and you can keep up to date with everything you want to know. There's live results in there, there's the course plan on there as well. Andrew Wells comes next for the USA. This horse is Primo Troy. He's placed at Spruce Meadows over the summertime. He's had the horse about 18 months now, and he's just back from having a top 10 finish in the Great Lakes Grand Prix. It's by Clinton out of a VDL Arkansas mare. This is a 10-year-old stallion. Katie's asking on YouTube if I've ever heard of hobby horsing. I have, actually. When I went to do the Hong Kong Masters back in January, they actually had a hobby horse competition. And it's something I really don't fancy having a go at. Steffi Cheng says, where am I from? I am from Edinburgh originally. I now live in Manchester in England, but I spend a lot of time over here in North America and also in various places. I'm going to Beijing next, and then Toronto, Vegas, Washington, Thailand. So barely at home, but hopefully I've still got a little bit of a Scottish accent. Leitz Vanda says, is there any Belgian riders competing? Not today, I'm afraid. Kelly says, is there an age limit? Nope, there's not an age limit in this for horse or rider. Oh, the last comes down as well there for Andrew. So Andrew Wells is going to finish on 80.37 and 8 faults for Andrew Wells and Primo Troy. Quick reminder, make sure you follow FEI Jumping for all the behind-the-scenes type stuff. You can also follow the American Gold Cup on social media. And if you want to follow me as well, I'm Adam Cromarty, so you can add me to Facebook or to Instagram. And I'll make sure I try and post some pictures from behind the scenes as well. Let's get Karen Pillay underway next. She's got a horse called Kino. She represents Japan. She's been based in the US since she was 6 months old, though. Her father's from the USA, her mum's from Japan. And she's worked quite a lot with Rodrigo Pessoa over the years. Her horse was 4th in the Grand Prix at Thunderbird on the week before their World Cup event. She's had a busy summer, She's been at Spruce Meadows during their summer series. They've got 4 weeks of 5-star competition with a week off in the middle of the two. You got 2 a week off and 2, so she was there for the summer, and she's been over in Europe. Oh, but she's had this horse a couple of years now, actually. Henrik von Eckermann and Philip Weishaupt had it before she took over the ride. This one's by Lord Zed out of a Chamberton mare. Yeah, really nice down that line. If you've just joined us, that's the line that some have kind of struggled with a little bit, especially those with younger horses or for those riders that are moving up. But Karen made a really nice job and then sadly came around the corner and then just had that first fence and the line down. So sits on 4 at this stage. Slightly longer ones the last there, and just finishes on the 4:78.39. That will be good enough though to qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. So we'll no doubt see her on Sunday. That horse really eats the ground up, so hopefully we'll see it forward into the jump off on Sunday. Laura Hoffman asks why they always play music when jumping. I think here they're just playing clear Reinsteins. They've actually got a DJ at this show that they've brought over from Germany who just pretty much does horse shows all the time. He does all the kind of top horse shows, so all the presentation music and the clear round jingles and stuff. And then at the kind of lower levels, I think the days are just really long, and that's why they play music, just, you know, people that are watching or people that are competing. Right, let's get Margie Engel underway. A horse called Royce. Margie's a big fan of the bigger horses. She's just 5'1", but she's an absolute legend. She really, really is. She loves these big horses, and this was a horse that won the Grand Prix in Socrates with Margie just last weekend. She's also been jumping over in Europe quite recently. Top 10 finishes in Chantilly, Canossa and Hamburg. It's by Cafu Olay. Stein Nelson says, go Margie. Caitlin says, what's the point of a jump off if everyone's gone clear and some people have gone quicker? Are they ranked? No, they're not ranked in the first round. All you have to do is leave them up and be home within the time allowed. So the time is just a deciding factor in terms of time allowed, because the course designer will take a measuring wheel and measure between the start line and the finish line. Whoa! She made it. And then they calculate a time allowed. So they've got to travel at about 375 meters a minute. She gets on with this horse so well, doesn't she? Just look at that. 79.26. Congratulations there. Margie Engel and Royce earn their place in the jump off. Yeah, so getting back to what we were talking about there, you know, the course designer measures the course, they work out the time allowed, and that's why you're seeing a clock on screen. They've got to be home within 83 seconds. That qualifies them for the jump off. We're bringing forward the clears. They come back in the same order as we saw them in the first round, but then when they come back, then they've got to go quick. They've got to look for those turns. And you're going to see that jump off in probably about 15-20 minutes, because we've got 9 or 10 left to come here. Lauren Tisbo and Casco join us now, representing the United States of America. Another one for the home team. It's a 10-year-old gelding by Casper. Another one who's been building up her string. Eva Oster's just joined us watching in Tel Aviv. Good to have you with us, Eva. Hope you're okay. Minnie says, I love this horse. I think talking about Margie's there. Liv Anderson says, yeah, the horse looks so big. She loves those big horses, Margie. Heidi Wood says, yes, and look how relaxed he was. Absolutely, Heidi, all the way around he's relaxed. And as soon as it finishes, you know, it's back to just being a happy horse on the end of the rein. Well, Lauren just having that early rail today with Casco, so now sits on 4. And although this is a competition in its own right, as you'll have heard by now, this is also a qualifier to get into Sunday for the World Cup qualifier, for the American Gold Cup. And I think Lauren was just having to fight a little bit around the corner there. She's keeping quite a tight hold of this one today. Just having that other rail down as well. We'll see what she's going to decide to do here. Whether she's just going to rebalance or whether she's going to retire. It looks like, though, she's just going to keep on going. Could possibly be out of contention now, but who knows? She could scrape on through.
Well, of course.
Oh, and the ground jury have rung the bell there. She's having a bit of a discussion with the ground jury. If only we could lip read from behind. But we will try to find out exactly what happened there and update you. Tracy Fenney's going to be coming forward next. Igor van de Heijbos.
So here's Tracy Fenney with Igor van de Heijbos. Excellent farm owns the horse. The lady who in the Longines FEI World Cup qualifier here last year finished on the podium in 3rd place. Following on, she was a winner at Ocala and recently 3 top 5 placings at Silvertip.
Tracy getting organised now. And is now back underway. Whoa, sit up. Oh, that was well sat there, Tracy. And again, you can see just what a professional Tracy is, because for most of us, we'd want to go and take a little bit of a breather after that and get organised. For her, she sits up, adjusts her hat, and she's straight back round there and carrying on. Just sitting on the 4. And now sits on 8 though. And again, you know, they're thinking about qualification for Sunday. Want to pick up a time fault as well. 92.10, total of 11 there. Goes into 35. So might just scrape through. We've got about 7 or 8 left to come in the first round. We'll wait and see if that result is going to be good enough to qualify her for Sunday.
So on to another rider who's certainly represented his country at championship level. It is for Puerto Rico, Vasco Flores with SHL Farms, Dubai.
Here's Vasco Flores now with a horse called Dubai. Someone asking what happened with Lauren Tisbo, so just double checked, and she didn't jump fence 9B, which is the second part of the double. She went to circle, she rebalanced, and then jumped 10, so was eliminated. So there's your update on Lauren Tisbo, but you know, that's a great horse that Lauren's got, and I'm sure we'll see her back in the ring again very soon. Vasco Flores been producing his string rather well recently. As we get down towards those final few riders. And then, of course, what a jump off we're going to have. We've got 15 qualified. My guess after watching the first few was 18 clears, so we'll see if I was right or whether I'm going to be 1 or 2 off. Early on, that line that we just watched has caused a couple of issues with the undulation, you know, with it going downhill into the Oxer, but you know, these more experienced riders are, you know, just making that look really easy through there. Katie's asking about quarter horses here. I think quarter horses are great. Again, they're one of these breeds that really do have their place. You don't see too many quarter horses in the show jumping ring, but I know they can go pretty fast. I think some have been clocked up to like 55 miles an hour or something. So definitely got their place, but you don't really see too many in the jumping ring. Oh, look at that, just one time fault. 84.25, had a little rub on the final fence and then just finishes over. So the bad news is we won't see him in the jump off. The good news is that's good enough to qualify for Sunday. So in a way, got the job done today. but it might just, or will just affect the sort of prize money that he's going to be taking home. Nicole Shahinian Simpson comes forward next then. Nikki knows this horse really well. This is a horse called Akuna Matata. And this is a horse that has got a lot of personality, as you can see, but it's actually a triplet. When the embryo and stuff was all that breeding stuff happened, he actually ended up having triplets, and this is one of them. But it's got bags and bags of personality. And Nikki normally, can really settle the horse down, and after it settles down, it's such a useful little mare. Chanel says, where are you all from? Where are you from, Chanel? You just joined us. Great to have you with us. Now, if you are watching online, hit that share button. Feel free to get involved with the conversation here today. You can see that Nikki, settled this horse down quite well. It's having to take the odd little check and stuff around there just to keep the canter, and gets in a little bit deep there. And if you do get in deep on these related lines, you then have to make the adjustments. But she did just that down there. Oh, second last from home, and finishes on the 4, 78.29. Penultimate fence comes down there today. She's going to head down to 18th, so again, definitely good enough to qualify for Sunday, but they're going to be out of the prize money here today. I think Nikki might just be out to give her a little treat out of her pocket. This is Uma O'Neill coming forward next, clockwise of Green Hill Z. This is definitely her wonder horse. This is a horse she's done so much with over the years. If you follow the North American League, you'll remember she won the World Cup qualifier at Thunderbird last season, so back in 2018. But we saw her jump this at Spruce Meadows on numerous occasions. She's, a real regular on the circuit. And it's got some nice young horses coming forward as well. She trains with Mariano Magi, who's actually based with her at her yard. And they work really well together with the, the younger horses and the horses that they're producing. Miss Jules is watching in New Zealand. It's going to be really late there, Miss Jules, I think, isn't it? She's watching on YouTube. Diane's just joined watching in California. Again, she's now thinking about qualification. As soon as you have a rail in this competition now, fast 4 fault rounds aren't going to make it into the money. Oh, 8 faults. I think one more might just put her out of qualification. She's got to leave these final fences up. Yeah, finishes on the 8, 80.88 and 8 there for Uma O'Neill of New Zealand, clockwise of Green Hill Z. Steffi says, do I ride myself? Well, Steffi, I still ride very, very occasionally, but being on the road all the time, going from show to show, it's very difficult to have any sort of horses in a competitive way back at home. My wife still rides though, so I'm still involved there. And yeah, certainly used to ride a lot, and sort of qualified as a coach back home. And I'm also like an FEI judge as well. Charlie Jacobs comes forward next, the United States of America, Este Plantina. He's got some horses he knows inside out. He's got some new ones on his string as well. He's a bit of a regular at World Cup finals. Pat Claffey's watching in Ireland. Good to have you with us. She's on Facebook Live. Miss Jill says New Zealand has poached Uma from the US and she's now riding for New Zealand. It's Saturday morning there. It's tomorrow, Miss Jules. You're watching in the future. Wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. You can let us know what's in the news. Uma actually has a New Zealand passport and her mum lives in New Zealand. Isha's watching in Holland, where she says it's Friday evening at 10 o'clock. Well, it's 4 in the afternoon, 10 past 4 in the afternoon here in New York City. Eva Oster watching on YouTube says red ribbons in the tail, don't get too close. Absolutely right, Eva. If you see a horse with a red ribbon in the warm-up ring, you want to stay well out their way. It normally means that, you know, they're a little bit misbehaved or that they're going to kick. But Charlie, you know, it's a really exciting time for him. Just had that unlucky rail there. Real related line coming down there. But Charlie himself rides as an amateur. He's got a full-time job. He's the CEO of the Boston Bruins. But, you know, rides like a real professional and manages his string like a professional as well. And his whole family involved with the sport. They own Deer Ridge Farm, where the Palm Beach Masters are held down in Wellington, Florida. 8 faults it is for him today, 82.20. That's the time, 8 for Charlie Jacobs. Heads into 37th. I think that will be good enough to get him through for Sunday. He's going to be right on the cusp, depending on what these final horses do. AW says, who's in first currently? You've joined at a good time, AW, because we're just about to go to the jump-off. There's 3 or 4 left in the first round, and then we go to a jump-off against the clock. So at the moment, all those that have jumped clear sit in equal first, and then they are going to be placed depending on the result from the jump-off. Eva Oster says it's 11 o'clock in Israel. Stacey's just joined watching in Canada. Jill says, what's the time limit? The time allowed, I think, is what you mean. It's 83 seconds. The time limit, though, is always double that, so it's 166 seconds. So the time limit is where they'd be eliminated if they were still on course after 166. But the time allowed, that's the time they have to be home, is 83 seconds. Lucy Delorier comes forward next with Hester. I always say it, but this has to be her horse of a lifetime so far. This is the horse that she took from young riders and was then jumping at Nations Cup finals, jumping it in World Cups, jumping it in Grand Prix. And she's only about 19 or 20 herself. Sitting on 15 clear rounds at this stage. Another reminder as well, if you want to follow along with the live results or you want to find a start list or a course plan, you can do that on longinetiming.com. Just obviously select the American Gold Cup, pick today's competition, which is the American Gold Cup qualifier. It'll have probably live sitting next to it, and you'll be able to follow along there. Or if you want to find out, you know, anything about horses' breeds or the time allowed, or have a look at the course plan, have a look at the jump-off fences. You can find that on there as well, actually. It's on the course plan, if you want to have a sneaky peek before we get there. But you can see how well Lucy knows this horse, Hester. You know, I mentioned just how much they've done together, and you know, it's just foot perfect all the way round. Her dad, Mario Delorier, is also in this competition. We saw him a little bit earlier. He's already clear. And now his daughter will be going through as well, but only just 82.90, 10th of a second inside the time allowed today. So Lucy Delorier goes clear and earns her place with Hester, brings us up to 16 left to go. I did guess there'd be 18 clears. We're up to 16, but only a couple left. I think it might be 1 or 2 out. Let's see what happens. Elan Blumen next, Jay Boston, SE, a 10-year-old. by Boris van Het Kluzelbos. You can see him just getting organised, making sure Boston's listening to him. Liv says how many riders are left. This one is second last to go. We've got this one, we've got Richie Maloney, then we're off to the races. The jump off will be on the way. Elan's produced some great horses over the years. We've already seen one of his family members, or a couple of his family members actually riding in this competition earlier. You can see just how perfectly some of these riders are setting up for that delicate upright. You know, they come round the corner, they take a check, they use their upper body, and they make sure the canter's perfect. I always think, you know, setting up and getting the perfect canter is much more important than getting the perfect stride. Aka says, is there any riders at this level who don't have a string of horses? I think there are a couple, but not very many, because, you know, to be really competitive at sort of metre 60 Grand Prix level, or if you want to start thinking about world rankings, you need to be jumping all the time. And to manage a horse's schedule and give them longevity in the sport, it's important to have those other horses to rely on, so you're not just always jumping the same horse all the time, because they've only got so many jumps in them. So you've really got to manage the string, and that's, you know, very much part of the sport now. It's not just about getting in the ring and leaving them up. It's also about, you know, that management of their time and their competition. This might just, yeah, it's going to get inside. It's fine actually. 80.43 clear for Elan Blumen. We are up now to 17 clears. 17, one left to go. Maybe my prediction is going to be right. It's all down to Richie Maloney. I said 18 clears. We've got 17, and we've got one left to go. This is our last one, Richie Maloney, the 11-year-old gelding by ARS Vivendi, Roxy Music. Joe said, how many are left? This is the last one, Jules. Stacey says, bye everyone, I've got to go. You can't go, Stacey, the jump-off's on the way. Who leaves just before the jump-off? Madness. Again, if you are watching on Facebook Live or on YouTube, get involved with the conversation. Let us know where you're watching. And if you've got any questions or anything, then you can pop them in the box below. Margaret Pollard's just joined us. Her son Andrew is actually the ring announcer here, so great to have you with us, Margaret, watching from back in the UK. Dirk says, top ride, Lucy. Yeah, we'll see Lucy back a little bit later. How many qualify for Sunday's class? It's going to be 40 Iris that qualify. Come on, Richie. Last to go. Make my prediction of 18 clears right. I'm sure that's what he's thinking as well. Someone asking on YouTube, ever been to Briarfest? If that is what I think it is that where all the little model horses are? Because if it is, then no, I've not been. But I have been to an event in Kentucky that was running just next door, and I have heard all sorts of strange things going to happen there with the Briar horses. Like you can get their feet painted and stuff. Whoa! I thought he was going to get through there. I think it looked like the horse just kind of dropped a leg over the ox there and just caught that back rail. Oh, what a heartbreak there for Richie Maloney. Finishes on 4 today, 80.76. Yeah, just 4 in the first round for them though. And that means it is going to be 17 that qualify for the jump off against the clock. My guess wasn't too bad. I guessed 18, but it is 17 that qualify over the Salem Wade design course in the American Gold Cup qualifier. So for those that are new to the sport, what happens now is our course designing team leap into action. as you can see. They are going to get a set for the jump off against the clock. So when the riders come back, it's going to be a shorter course. They're going to be looking for turns, and they're going to be going a whole lot faster. And you can see on your screen now those that have qualified. Some big names in there. You know, Devin Ryan, that horse he took to the World Cup finals, the World Equestrian Games. Mario Delorier, very competitive. Be It Manley here is a trainer and a rider. Kat Tyree, Hilary McNerney, the wonderful BZ Madden in there with Garant. Santiago Lambre's been going well with that horse as well, so we can't rule him out. Margie Engel, she's got to be one of the favourites. She just won a big Grand Prix last weekend. Lucy Delorier's won a lot with that horse. Alex Granato. Brian Mowgray's won a World Cup qualifier with that horse that he's riding before. So we'll be having a look at who's coming back, and let me know on Facebook Live or on YouTube, who do you think is going to win? So we've got Devin Ryan, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Be It Manley, Cormac Hanley, Carl Cook, Shane Sweetenham, Hilary McNerney, BZ Madden, Daniel Blumen, Santiago Lambre, Kat Tyree, Brian Mowgray, Alex Granato, Margie Engel, Lucy Delorier, and Elin Blumen. So that's the field. That's the athletes that will be returning. Some really quick horses in there. The times in the first round aren't really important. You know, we talked about that earlier. It's all about just making it home within the time allowed. But just out of interest, and as a bit of a fun fact, the fastest clear in the first round was Brian Mowgray. So that means absolutely nothing, but it might be an indication. Again, let me know, who do you think is going to take the victory here? This is a qualifier for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York for the American Gold Cup, but it's also a competition in its own right, $75,000 in the prize fund. And if you want to watch that World Cup on Sunday, then you have to do it on FEI TV. That's going to be the only place that you can watch. Depending on where you are in the world, the highlights will be available on television. But if you want to watch live, it has to be on FEI.tv. I'll be joined by Katie Stazak on Sunday. And if you want to keep up to date with any of the stuff behind the scenes, like we're going to be interviewing our course designer as part of the preview, that's going to be out tomorrow. That'll be on the FEI Jumping Facebook page. It'll also be on the American Gold Cup Facebook page as well. So they're both definitely worth liking. If you want to follow me, I'm Adam Cromarty. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll be posting some pictures from behind the scenes as well. But definitely stay with us right to the very end as we get ready to see that 17-horse jump off. That's Alan Wade, you can see, marching over the arena. He is our course designer today. He's a level 4 international course designer. He's built championships like the World Equestrian Games, and he is one of the riders' favourites. He really is. He always builds tests that make the riders think, but he never builds anything, you know, that's kind of trappy for the horses. And riders often comment that their horses always kind of go better after spending a week or so jumping Alan's courses. Great for the thinking riders, but always kind to the horses. So they're just renumbering, getting organised. Haley says it's going to be Brian Mowgray or Margie. I think, is it Miniman or Mine? Probably Mine. Says Brian Mowgray for the win. Again, let me know who you think it is going to be. You can comment on YouTube or on Facebook Live. Loami says BZ Madden is the favourite because it's in her backyard. Yeah, she's got a base not too far from here. She knows all the secrets of the track. Brian Mowgray as well. Yeah, it's got to be one. Sophie says Alex Granato. Connie's asking, can the riders decline to jump off and still get in on Sunday? Yes, they can, because if they were to withdraw from the jump off, they would be placed lower than everyone else that did jump off, if that makes sense. But actually now, eliminations, retirals and withdrawals are all placed equally. That's a relatively new FEI rule. Some say it doesn't make that much sense, but hey, that is the new rule and that's the way it works. So eliminations, withdrawals and retirals all place equally. So they would be placed if they withdrew 17th. Then if someone got eliminated, so there was 2 of them, they'd be placed 16th and they could keep moving up. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, they've got the job done now. They're going to be placed within the top 40 and they will qualify. Jane's just joined us watching in New Australia. My geography is terrible, Jane. Where's New Australia? Is that the same as normal Australia? I could Google it, but it's better if you tell me. Someone else saying Alex Granato. Dirk says Chaki Z, favourite horse. So yeah, keep letting me know. Who do you think is going to win if you're watching online? If you're involved with the conversation, do let me know. Hannah says she's rooting for McLean. Well, I'm afraid McLean Ward hasn't qualified for the jump-off, so you're going to be out of luck there, Hannah. You're going to have to pick someone else. Nicole says she's watching from a road trip from Tampa. Great way to pass the time. I hope you're not watching and driving, Nicole. It's going to be fairly exciting, this jump-off. I don't want you to crash. Katie says Beezy. Rodent Razor's going for Beezy as well. My mind says, what does the rolling thing do? It's just rolling the ground in front of the jumps. Now, for those that follow the sport, you'll be thinking, why are those riders walking for the jump off? Because normally you get one course walk, and that one course walk happens before the first round. And when you walk, depending on any superstitions you may have, you also examine the jump off, so you make sure you know where you're going. But what's happened today is there's been 50 horses come forward in the first round, and the team out there, you can see they're doing a great job of trying to keep this ground as good as they can. And I think probably what's happened is the course designer said, we're just going to move the fences maybe about 6 foot one way or 6 foot the other way, but potentially that could change the lines that they've walked earlier on. So it would be unfair for them to come in and think, oh, that fence was there, I'm going to make this turn here, and actually they can't make the turn anymore. Or the first one comes in, doesn't know about it, and then the rest do know about the turns. So that's why they've been allowed to come in and walk for the jump off. And that will mean just a little bit of a delay. Do not go anywhere. If you want to get a drink, then I suppose you can go and do that, because we're probably about maybe just 5 or 10 minutes away, probably 5 minutes away actually, from seeing that first horse come through. But again, if you have got any questions you want to ask about the sport of show jumping, or anything else actually, I'll try and answer it if I can. That's just one of the hospitalities here at the American Gold Cup. That's actually the bar that you can see that they've just panning out of there. Behind that is the barn where the indoor stables where the horses that are based here all the time are kept. And that is so immaculate in there. You've got no idea. It's all rubber flooring and nice wood paneling everywhere. And they've got a big indoor ring in there. 2 indoor rings actually just up there. They've got offices. They've got a restaurant up there. It is a real nice venue. And they've got a big auction tonight as well called The 10. That's definitely worth Googling. But they've the people that are running the auction have put a huge amount of effort into that, because they've got huge LED video walls, they've put air conditioning into the indoor, it's all been floored. So that's going to be really interesting to see what those horses go for tonight. So if you want to find out more about that, you can Google The 10 horse auction and you should be able to find it. This is who's coming back though, so if you haven't decided who's your favourite yet, then have a look at this list. Devin Ryan, Mario Delorier, Lacey Gilbertson, Be It Manley, Cormac Hanley, Carl Cook. Any of those on their day could win a competition like this. They've all definitely done it in the past. But it's a strong jump off, 17 coming forward, and then we've got Shane Sweetenham, Hilary McNerney's in there. Loads of people are saying Beezy Madden. We've got Daniel Blumen, Santiago Lambre, Kat Tyrese in there as well. And then it's far from over, because you get to the young rider like Brian Mowgray, who's just so quick. Margie Engel doesn't know how to go slow. Lucy Delorie's won so much with that horse. Alex Granato's in there. Elan Blumen. This is so tough to call. Yara says fingers crossed for Daniel Blumen. Jan's watching from Las Vegas, Nevada. Someone saying, if Margie qualified, that's who I'm rooting for. You are in luck. She has qualified. She will be here. Kathleen says, how many placings for money? In FEI competitions, there's always a minimum of 12 cash awards. So even if there's only 6 in the competition, you still have to pay out 12 cash awards. And the 7th would go to first, the 8th would go to second, the 9th would go to third, and so on all the way down the line. And then if you still haven't got enough to fill it, you'd go back up to first, and you'd get lots of money. That's not going to be the case today. We had 50, and there is a minimum payout of 1 for every 4 or part of 4 riders. So you'll have to do your sums, but yeah, it's going to be 12, isn't it? 12 cash prizes here in this one. $75,000 in the prize fund. And then the organising committee choose whether what proportion goes to the winner. So it's either 25%, or I think in this case, and I haven't checked, so this is a bit of a guess, and you can check if you want. You can go and find the draft schedule. Just search for FEI calendar, search for the show, you'll find it on there. But I'm pretty sure this is 33%. So 33% of $75,000 will go to the winner, and the rest kind of divided amongst the rest. Jill says, Beezy for the win. Mine's watching on her TV. You must have YouTube on your TV. Very technical. Isabel's watching in Portugal. Nicole, who messaged she was watching on a road trip, says she's a passenger. I'm glad you've confirmed that, Nicole. I was worried about you there. Driving on, but the roads are so straight here. You probably could manage that, but I'm not advising it. Definitely not a good idea. Carla's watching from South Africa. Sherlock Watson says, fingers crossed for Brian. He's fantastic and always fun seeing the young riders excel. Nicole says, I'm so happy to see Carl. Must have missed him earlier. I love seeing him in the smaller shows, but even in the bigger ones. Yeah, and he just really excels in these bigger competitions, Carl. Fun facts about Carl Cook as well. You might have heard this if you've been watching yesterday. I think I mentioned it then. He has recently invested in a machine that tests the ground and the going at competitions. I haven't seen him with it here yet, but I know I was at Thunderbird with him a couple of weeks ago, and he brought this machine out. And I'm not even going to start to explain how it works because I have no idea, but it basically does some sort of test on the ground to see how the conditions are, you know, how firm it is, how soft it is, how deep it is. And he's kind of adding together all this information from different showgrounds. He finds it really interesting because he just loves horses so much. I remember chatting to him last year, and I was saying, what do you do when you're not riding? And he was like, well, spend time at the barn, spend time with the horses. Yeah, but when you're not doing that, and he reads about horses and stuff, he's just so into horses, so into the sport, and he's got such an analytical mind. Aisha says, Daniel Blumen, he is 16. No, he's definitely not 16. He's a bit older than that. He's not ancient or anything, but he's definitely not 16. Brian just turned 18, says Haley. That's absolutely accurate. Brian is 18 now. Wouldn't Razor suggest that the machine that Carl has could be the ground-penetrating radar? Perhaps it could. I just knew it was a bit of a machine that looked at the ground. That's all I can tell you. Someone also saying, does he have his own business selling coats? I don't think he sells them, but he does design his own riding jackets. It's turned into the Carl Cook discussion here. He does design, and he loves to look unique and trendy. Quite often you see him in a bow tie, which probably isn't strictly allowed under FEI rules, but it's super, super trendy. And he does design his own jackets. Someone now asking about Carl's glasses. Yeah, he's got special goggles that he's started to wear. That means, and I can't remember exactly what you can and can't see, but I think it's you can't see basically below you, so you can't look down or anything, and it helps him, really feel what's happening underneath him. Doesn't compete in them though, I will say that. And probably don't try that at home. Don't get a pair of goggles and some tape and cover it up. Eva's saying Daniel Lumen's horse is 16. Yes, it is, Eva, that is right. And he manages it so well. Daniel himself is 29, but his horse is 16. Liv says, headed off to bed, need to get 6 hours sleep. Great time watching it. Well, it's great to have you with us, Liv, but can't believe you're leaving before the jump off. We'll try and get through the jump off really quick for you if you want to stay behind and watch. Jill says, is there a cross-country terrain behind? No, there's not. This ring has a few natural obstacles in it. You can see that table just behind that Audi and the Porsche there from Danbury, Audi and Porsche. It's got a table sitting there, and there is a water jump in this ring and that huge big lake, which you wouldn't want to be jumping over or anything. But no, it's not cross-country. It's got a few natural obstacles. But they've got lots of rings here. They've got another jumping ring, which is going at the moment with different competitions. They've got another ring that's got hunters going on today. They've got 2 indoor rings. The warm-up ring down there that's used for the youth championships, and they've got a warm-up ring for that one. It's just a huge facility. More about Carl. Carl's the favourite out here today. Arabash's Carl wife also competes, and she's the actress from The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, she is. Kaylee Coco, sorry. They got married, I think it was last year, but the time's flying by. It might have been 2 years ago now. But yeah, Kaylee rides. And she does say, though, that she's actually a rider who acts and not an actor who rides. Equestrian Kate's watching in Latvia. There's a few Latvian warm bloods out there now, Kate. That breed kind of slowly making its way out. Ailey Cowell's watching from Stirling in Scotland. That was just up the road from where I used to live for a few years, and I used to be on Central FM, a radio station that broadcasts into Stirling. So good to have you with me, Ailey. Aisha says, will there be a live stream tomorrow with you as a commentator? Yes, I know I am commentating on a class tomorrow. I don't think, though, it's on FEI YouTube and FEI Facebook. I think it might be on USCF Network or on the event website. But you can definitely find that out on the American Gold Cup website. Don't think we'll be able to chat, though. I'm going to miss it. Same on FEI TV on Sunday. We do the commentary on FEI TV, but they also use that commentary for some of the TV shows that are made out of that competition. I think it's on about 18 different channels around the world as highlights. So we can't really chat during that one either, because otherwise it would go out on TV. But for everyone that has joined us so far and might be disappearing before the jump off, thanks so much for getting involved. It's always great to chat with you guys on YouTube Live and on Facebook, so thanks so much for your company. For those that are staying, though, we are going to have an exciting jump off. 17 making it back. Remember, they qualify and come back in the same order as they jump clear from the first round, so it's a bit of a luck of the draw. You know, if you get a good draw in the first round, you get a good draw in the jump off. For those that have kind of memorised the numbers of the fences, I can tell you that jump off track. We're starting over fence number 4. That's the Just World Oxer. You can actually just see that right in the middle of your screen there. Then we're coming around to a new fence number 15. So that's one that didn't feature in the first round, and it's an upright. It's going to take them right-handed. So they're going to land over the Just World, turn right, round towards a new upright. From here, it's down to the black and white Oxer at fence number 7. That was on that 7-stride distance that was a bit undulating from the first round, right next to the big tree. That's fence number 7. Then left-handed is the Longines upright round to fence 8. Then right-handed is going to take them down 11AB. That's the double. It's at the opposite end from what you can see just now. So it's the upright one stride out over the Oxer, and then the Danbury fence, the Oxer at fence number 12 to finish. But don't worry, I'll take you around it when we get that first horse on course. But there's certainly plenty of twists and turns in there. 300 metres is the length of the track, and it does have to have a time allowed, 48 seconds. But normally, you know, unless a rider was schooling for some reason, or they had a stop, you wouldn't really see them getting any time faults in the jump off, because it's always going to be the fastest one with the lowest number of faults that takes the victory. Meg Thomas is watching in Nova Scotia. Says Canada is rooting for Mario. He has been a great team member. He was part of the team at the Pan Am Games that qualified Canada for the Tokyo Olympics. Miss Jules says standing martingales are not allowed in jumper classes. You're absolutely right, Miss Jules. It's only running martingales you can have. Equestrian Kate says, what's been your favourite competition so far? My favourite competitions? That's a really tough one. There's been so many memorable ones. Last weekend I did a $3 million Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows, the CP International. So that one was always memorable. World Cup finals in Omaha, Nebraska. They were there a couple of years ago, and the atmosphere there was just so electric, and hopefully World Cup finals are going to be going back there again. Royal Windsor Horse Show, that's always a favourite as well, because it's in the Queen's back garden at Windsor Castle, and Her Majesty the Queen does come down to watch. So, I mean, they're all memorable, and of course the American Gold Cup is fantastic. It's a real heritage event, and I get to go to most of the World Cups in North America, so they're all quite memorable as well. Right, here we go, everyone. It is time for that jump off. We're off to the races. Best of luck, of course, to all our athletes. You've all had your guesses in. But who's it going to be? It really is wide open. And we're starting with someone who is definitely a contender. When you think what he's done with this horse, you know, he's taken it to World Equestrian Games, part of the team that took a gold medal there, and then was second in the World Cup final the same year. That was both back in 2018, just last year. It's Devin Ryan and Eddie Blue to get us underway. So this will be a great pathfinder. David's just joined us watching in Cornwall, England. Someone's saying I'm actually from Edinburgh, not Ireland. You're right. I am from Edinburgh. Anyway, it's jump-off time. What are we talking about? Right, we're over the Just World. This is fence number 15. It's the new fence, the upright that we talked about. Then it's round towards fence number 7. That's the black and white oxer. That's got that slightly undulating ground in front of it. Then round to fence 8, the Longines upright. Then it's round towards the double. And this is a space we can really make up some time. You know, you've got lots of room over there to open up. Upright in, one stride out over the oxer. And then it's a gallop down towards this final oxer. This is the last fence in our jump off, and it's a clear 33.49. So that is going to be the time to beat. Devin Ryan adding on the pressure for our remaining 16 partnerships. 33.49 time from Devin Ryan and Eddie Blue for the USA.
A lot of talent to come, and it is to Canada now the experience from Canadian International Mario Delorier.
Bronwyn says, how high are these jumps? They were 1.55 meters in the first round. Probably won't have put them up. Maybe put the odd fence up a hole, but that's not really necessary in a competition like this. Mario Delorier comes next with Amsterdam, representing Canada. If you've been with us throughout, you might have heard Liv was going to leave. She's actually staying for the jump off now. Might as well. It's going to be so quick anyway, Liv. You know, all these horses are flying around so far. And here's Mario Delorier, off and underway. Aisha says there's going to be a faster round than Devon. She doesn't think he's gone quite fast enough. Flying Horse says nice round. And Mario's having a great round as well. He's really opened up round here, and I think he was quite tight in there as well. You know, because you can get as close as you can to that wing. Try and save some time. 33.49 is the time to beat. Has he done it? Let's have a look. Yes, he has. 33 seconds exactly is the time there from Mario Delorier. So Aisha was right. There is going to be a faster round. We've got one already. Lead changes again.
Amsterdam to put themselves very much into contention. Let's go back to the USA now. Lacey Gilbertson.
Eva says, although there's not a usual time fault problem in the jump off, a whole second is added, not the usual 4 seconds for one time fault. That's absolutely right, Eva. When we get to the jump off, and only ever in a jump off, not a second round or anything, when we get there, it's 1 for 1. So one time fault for every second or part of a second over the time allowed. But I don't think we'll see time faults in this one today. Lacey Gilbertson now, Baloppy. She calls it Poppy in the stable. She's had it for a while now. She knows this horse well. And she's first to take on that new challenge of 33 seconds. Rodent Razor says Mario is a speed demon. He certainly is, but there's a few of those in this one. It's never over when you've got people like Lucy Delorier, Margie Engel, Brian Mowgray all coming towards the end. And Lacey's doing not a bad job here at all, maybe slightly wide around there. 33 seconds, though we know that's the challenge. Jumps this oxer. Oh, and it takes the back bar. So sits on 4, time-wise not too far away there, 34.58 the time, and just takes the one down. Lacey Gilbertson for the USA, Baloppy. Jake's just joined and said, what did I miss? Oh, you've missed so much. We're on the jump off at the moment. We've got 14 left to come forward. And again, if you have just joined us, you can get involved with the conversation. You can also follow FEI Jumping on Facebook, the American Gold Cup. They've gone their social channels. And if you want to follow me, my name is Adam Cromarty, and you can find me on Facebook and on Instagram as well. I'll be posting lots of pictures and stuff from behind the scenes here over the next few days. Be It Manly comes forward next. This is Simba, representing Switzerland. Be It here as a rider, also a trainer as well. He trains Katie Dynan. Horseman said it's not over till the Irish have gone. That's true. The Irish are always competitive. They're always hungry for a win. But as I mentioned before, you know, those ones coming to the end are real contenders. He's tidy through there, though. Sometimes it's not about galloping. It's about being as tight and as economical as you can across the ground. He's not going to be quite quick enough, though. Jumps a nice clear. 35.71. Someone else messaging on the chat there to say, you know, some of them aren't really going to go for it today. They're saving them for Sunday, and I think that's true in a way. You know, you have your plan, and it really depends on the horse that you're sitting on today. You know, is it going to be, you know, one that's a real contender to come forward into the World Cup here on Sunday, or is this the competition for them this weekend? You know, is this horse's Grand Prix this weekend? Cormac Hanley next. VDL Cartallo. Cartello's been on amazing form for him recently. He's been on the Nations Cup teams with this, second in the Nations Cup team on Thunderbird up in Vancouver. For those that might be watching in Europe or Great Britain, this is a horse that Jeff Billington's son James started off. James Billington had this one. And even though they're down in the warm-up, they've actually got a TV screen down there, or a big video board it is actually, so they can keep an eye on what's happening in the ring, and they'll know, you know, that Mario's gone clear and he's gone fast. Because although you make your plan for the jump-off when you walk, they have got to walk in between rounds today just because a couple of the fences moved. Sometimes that plan does change, and the pressure is just going to get that much tougher because there's a faster time, 32.15. Cormac Hanley, VDL Cartello, up to the top he goes. Pushes Mario Delorier to second, Devin Ryan heading down into third. Liam Meyer says this horse is amazing. My mind said it's going fast. Someone saying, is it the combination that qualifies or just the rider? Just the rider, but they do have to nominate their World Cup horse. He's Carl Cook. Carl Cook comes next. Caillou for the USA. What do we think? Can he do it? Can he go faster than 32.15? We saw just how tidy Cormac Hanley was today. Horseman says he said it wasn't over till the Irish go. It's still not over. We've still got 11 or 12 left to come. Sparkling Sky Studio says such a pretty horse. Owen saying cracking round. Andy, oh those Irish. Niagara Brown says awesome round. Rachel asking about Sunday's event. Sunday's event is the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York. So it's a World Cup qualifier, part of the North American League. There's 14 qualifiers across North America, and this is leg number 2. Come on, Carl. Oh, he's steadying down to the last, but still not far away. 32.20. Look at that. It doesn't get much closer than that, does it? Slides into second. Carl Cook there. Caillou. 500ths of a second separating our top two now, and we saw Carl just take a little check down to the last, and I think that's, you know, the only difference we saw there. But he'll be thinking about Sunday with that horse. Ireland leads, US second, Canada in third, Cormac Hanley in front, and now Shane Sweetenham joins us for Ireland with Chaki Z, and this is another real experienced horse. It's the horse he took to the World Equestrian Games. It's the horse he took to the European Championships in 2017 when the team took gold over there. More recently, though, 7th in the Grand Prix at Hampton Classic. This is a horse that covers quite a lot of ground, but you can also turn it really tight as well. Nicole on YouTube also agreeing that he held back at the end there, referring to Carl's round, of course. Yeah, and remember, they've all got their plan, these athletes. None of them are here for a nice day out. They're all thinking about either this competition or future competitions. They're all producing horses, and it doesn't matter what level you're riding at, you're always wanting to have your plan and to sort of make further improvements. But this is super quick. Look at that. Oh, Ireland's on fire today. 31.67. Clear for Shane Sweetenham. Chacky Zed shoots to the very top. Ireland leads for Shane Sweetenham. Ireland second, Cormac Hanley. And Carl Cook now sitting in third. And I can assure you, this is still far from over.
So beat that, everyone. Really slicing the fences, cutting the corners and pushing across the ground as well. Captain Cooper will be next with the...
But that pressure is on even more now. 31.67. Wow. This is going to be some jump off. And you know, it had all those ingredients. It perhaps got a few more clears than our course designer Alan Wade would have wanted, but you know, it's something the crowd always enjoy, and I'm sure, you know, you sitting at home and me as well. It's always nice to see them go fast. It really turns into a game of risk and reward when it comes towards you know, jump offs with this amount of horses in. Plenty of talent still to come forward though. 7 gone in our jump off. So far, we've only had one rider who's taken a rail. That was Lacey Gilbertson. Everyone else has been clear. Everyone else has been quick. And Hilary McNerney joins us now. I know her dad Jim's watching. He's a great supporter of show jumping at venues like Spruce Meadows, and Hilary's, you know, been on the international circuit for a while now. She's been jumping well over in Europe. And for those riders that are coming, you know, towards the middle or towards the end, the information will have filtered back that we now have an even faster time, and that just adds a little bit of pressure on for those that are being really competitive today. Hilary starting off in that nice even rhythm. Quite tidy through there. See how tight she's going to get through here. Not going to be quite quick enough today, but going to get a nice double clear if we can just leave this up, and she does. 35.28 is the time, so that's going to be a top 6 finish for now. Hilary McNerney and Captain Cooper into 6th place they go, 35.28. Less than 4 seconds separating our top 6, and I think that gap's going to get even tighter as things progress here. Shane Sweetenham leads the way. Cormac Hanley second. Carl Cook sitting in 3rd place. Top 3 really close actually. 31.67 leads, 32.15 seconds, and 32.20 in 3rd. This is the favourite of many of you have commented on Facebook Live and on YouTube to say it's going to be Beezy Madden that takes the win. Well, this is Geraint. Beezy Madden next for the United States of America. Remember, this is just an 8-year-old horse. You've got to keep that in the back of your mind as well. It just takes that oxer. You know, Beezy is one of the fastest and one of the best riders we've ever seen, but even she, you know, an 8-year-old is still producing these horses. And the only way to produce these horses and, you know, find out what they do against the clock and with the different tests is to get them in the ring. This is a horse that Willem Greve had and was jumping in the young horse competitions. Beezy took over the ride last summer. It won the young horse series at Aachen actually, this 8-year-old. But Beezy, I mean, you know her. She's just a great horsewoman. So she's now thinking about producing this horse for another day. So even though she's out of contention, she's still, although she's slowed down a lot, she's still just taking those kind of tighter lines so that the horse gets used to, you know, being straight for a couple of strides and then having to take off. So a bit of a shame today there for BZ Madden, but you know, it's all about tomorrow now for her. You think of the horses she's produced over the years. Today though, she finishes on 25, 64.19, 25 total there for BZ Madden. Aisha agreeing, saying great learning moments for that horse, absolutely. Sparkling Sky Studios says such a beautiful young horse. Someone saying, when does Brian Mowgray go? He goes... You've got about another 4 to watch before he comes. Daniel Blumen's next, Sancha Lucia. This is the horse that we said was probably one of the older, if not the oldest horse in the competition. It's 16 years of age, but you certainly can't tell. Still jumps like a youngster, and he manages this horse's career just so carefully and manages the schedule. But he's taken this horse to 2 Pan Am Games. He's taken this horse to an Olympics. Oh, just didn't get the stride in there that he was quite looking for. Again, you can see he just steadies down right away because, you know, he's just so careful with these horses. And as soon as they're out of contention, he'll want to have a nice finish today. But just steadies down slightly. 35.15. It's going to be 4 there for Daniel Blumen and his Olympic horse, Sancha Lucia.
In 35 at 20.15, it's in 9th place for Daniel Blumen and Sancha LS. Still showing sweet and Ruby Dryland with Shecky's Head 21.67, the best time we've seen so far. Mexico next, Santiago Lambre, he's in and ready to go.
So no change to that leaderboard. Shane Sweetenham, Cormac Hanley and Carl Cook sitting first, second and third at this stage. Right, let's get Santiago Lambre underway. Satano Van Aspergem Z from Mexico. To say show jumping in Mexico is just growing from strength to strength. Not only have they got, you know, probably the best horses they've ever had, they've got some great young riders coming through. You know, people like Juan Jose Zendejas that is just, you know, really just getting right up there in the Grand Prix competitions. And they've also got more shows than they've ever had before. They've even got 2 World Cups. You know, we'll go down to Guadalajara in January, and then a couple of weeks later we're back in Lyon. Santiago's represented his country for a while now. 31.67, time to beat, and just catches the first part of that double there today. 33.53 time-wise, good enough for 6th place, but with that rail, drops him down there into 8th. 6 or 7 combinations left to come forwards here. Has Shane Sweetenham done enough? What do you think? 31.67 is the time to beat.
Down to the final 6 in the jump off, Catherine Tyree, the first of them. For the USA, this is BEC Lorenzo.
¿Qué pasa con el último salto?
Here is Cat Tyree next. BEC Lorenzo for the United States of America. Eva says even a horse who participated in Olympic Games can have a missed stride. I think referring back there to, you know, the horse we saw 2 ago with Daniel on board. And absolutely, you know, it's an ultra competitive class, and you know, show jumping such a leveler. You can be up 1 minute, down the next, and it happens to everybody. Someone else saying, come on USA. Jake saying, pretty white horse. We call these greys, Jake. Heidi says, love this horse. Oh, and it's very competitive, very athletic. Not going to be quite quick enough today, but still, you know, a fabulous round there. 33.25 for Cat Tyree. BEC Lorenzo going to take her into 5th place, into 5th there for Cat. Ireland still sitting 1st and 2nd. Shane Sweetenham, Cormac Hanley. Then we've got Carl Cook down in 3rd place. Elan Blumen still to come. Lucy Delorier, Margie Engel, Alex Granato. And we're about to see Brian Mowgray. Any of those riders could definitely take this from Shane. He has got a nervous wait. Here's Brian though, just 18 years of age. He won a World Cup with this down in Ocala, Florida. That was back in March, part of the last season, the 18-19 season. MTM, Varevlarev and Brian Mowgray for the USA. Getting down towards those final few here in our jump off. Who is it going to be? Look at this, he is so quick, he is so tight, and this horse is so careful. Oh, look at that. And look at the time, 31:31. Oh, that is such a heartbreak there for Brian Mowgray. Catches the time. The time was fast enough. Just a little communication error at the final fence.
Fast four, ninth place at the moment for MTM leading Morel, and we're down to the final four with Caution W. The next one, it's another for the USA, and it will be coached Trading for Roads, and Alex Granato who rides Caution W.
Well, that was certainly unexpected there. Alex Granato though, another fast one. Carlton W comes next, staying with that home nation of the USA. You can see he starts off with that nice forward stride. Got to make up as much time everywhere. Looking for those tight turns as well. Come on, 31:67 time to beat. Oh, not going to catch that today. Still a real solid performance there, 32:74. Heads into fourth place, Alex Granato, Carlton W. Well, has Shane done it? 31:67. Let's see though, because this next rider, boy is she quick. And when it comes to communication, the channels are well and truly established between Margie and Royce. You know, she can take those little touches when she has to, but when she thinks forward, this horse is off and running. Come on, Margie. Just back off having a Grand Prix win over the last couple of weekends. And sometimes, oh, God, that's unexpected there. Just about to say, it doesn't always look like this horse is going fast, but it eats up so much ground, and then just got a bad stride coming round there. That is a shame there for Margie, but you know, I think Shane Sweetenham really has added the pressure on. You know, when you've got a relatively early draw in the jump off, that's your job, isn't it? You want to add as much pressure on for everyone else. Well, unexpected there, but 4 faults for Margie Engelin Royce. 38:09 finishes on 4. Well, I think we all know the top 3 by now. Shane Sweetenham, Cormac Hanley, Carl Cook. Quick review of the times though, 31:67, 32:15 and 32:20. That's how the times the first 3 look as we get down towards those final few. Lucy Delorier next. Every time she comes in, I have to say it, this is our horse of a lifetime so far. It really has to be. You know, when she took it from young riders and youth championships up to Nations Cup final, it just keeps growing and growing and growing with her. His name's Hester. Let's see what she decides to do today. She will be one that will have Sunday in the back of her mind. You know, you can see that. You know, this horse is super quick when she wants it to be. It's got all the blood in the world that she can put her leg on and let it, you know, really go. But she's riding this very conservatively today, just taking those economic turns, steadying the canter down. So she's going for the steady double clear today. But I think definitely a contender when we see her on Sunday. And gets the clear, 39.72. So please don't for a minute think that they're slow. That was just their plan coming forward into today. Leaves all the fences up, just a slightly steadier time there from Hester.
So the question is, will it be Shane Sweetenham or will it be Elan Blumen? Is it the last to go?
Well, let's find out then. Let's find out if Shane Sweetenham is going to take the victory for Ireland. What do you think? Is it going to be Shane? Is it going to be Elan Blumen? Well, Elan Blumen now. Last to go, J. Boston SE. Someone asking about Hester's breeding. It is by a stallion with a very long name, which is almost unpronounceable. However, if you want to see any of the horses breeding, head along to longinetiming.com. You can download the start list from there. It's got all the breeding, the ages and everything, and you can see the course plan and the results from the whole event and all the World Cup events actually throughout North America. So it's longinetiming.com. Anyway, back to Elan's round, because he is off and running. He's got a nice open gallop stride. He's thinking forward. He's taking those turns. Laura Hoffman says, "Go on, Elan." Oh, I don't know. I think he's maybe slightly steadier. Oh, and then he takes the rail. Well, it's all over. Shane Sweetenham will take that victory today. Time-wise, would he have been fast enough? 33.62. Maybe he steadied down slightly after having that rail. But in any case, he will be finishing in 13th place today. And we have our winner. It is going to be Shane Sweetenham that takes the victory, 31.67. Cormac Hanley second. It's a 1-2 for Ireland, 32.15. And Carl Cook taking third today on a 32.20. But there's your full result confirmed on screen. Shane Sweetenham takes the American Gold Cup qualifier. Chacky Z, that amazing horse that has done so much for him over the years. You know, when you think back to all the fun they've had, it's a horse he took to the World Equestrian Games. It's a horse he took to the European Championships in 2017, where he took a gold medal as part of the team there. And now he takes this competition here. And, of course, definitely one to look out for when you join us on Sunday for the qualifier for World Cup Series. It's the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup New York for the American Gold Cup. And that is on FEI.tv. Time-wise, it will depend on where you are in the world, because we've had people from all over the world watching us and getting involved with the conversation here this afternoon. But, you know, if you can, make sure you join us here on Sunday. I'm going to be joined by Katie Stazak. Full result confirmed, and we're going to be looking for the top 40 to progress forward into that qualifier. So you can see the cut-off today. Finished on 8 faults. So 8 faults was the cut-off with Charlie Jacobs earning his place. But, you know, some great sport. 50 starting in the first round. Probably a bigger jump-off than we expected, with 17 making it through. But it ended up being a really exciting competition. Once again, we've got to say thank you to everybody who got involved with the conversation. It is so much fun to be chatting with you guys, whether it's on Facebook Live or whether it's on YouTube. Don't forget, follow FEI Jumping. You can do that on Facebook, on Instagram. Same with the American Gold Cup. And same with me as well. My name's Adam Cromarty. If you want to follow me, then you can definitely do that on there. You will be able to watch more competition tomorrow. I don't think it's on FEI YouTube or Facebook, though. But if you want to find out more information about the broadcast schedule, head to the American Gold Cup website. But Sunday, most definitely, FEI.tv. You can join me and Katie Stazak then. Once again, thank you so much to everyone who joined. Wherever you are in the world, have a great day, a great night. It's so confusing. But anyway, hopefully we'll speak again very, very soon. That's it for me, though. We'll leave you with the ring announcer for the presentation.